There was an accent here, but it left me.
trying for the hat trick.
Honestly, after how I butchered that Scouse Liverpudlian dialect from last week, I couldn't think of another similar thing to go for after that. Also, fuck me, I completely forgot to deactivate the source and then reactivate it, so we're gonna do that now. I don't even know if the audio was truly desynced or not at that point, but I'm not gonna take that risk.
Yeah, it looked okay on my side, but there's not really much to sync up the audio with, so...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we could have left it on the camera on the weasels just to know for sure. Oh well. But that's fine. Before we get started, we need to actually do something.
Already, huh?
We need to go to the cheats menu again, and this time we are not going to curse at the weird, creepy fire imp.
Well, what's the point in putting in any cheats then?
Well, I'm giving myself a little insurance. You can put it that way. Okay. So we got...
Oh, that's right. All the cheat codes in this are... Yeah. Bovril bullet hole is a very obscure euphemism for the butthole.
Yeah. I had a feeling just from looking at it. There's a lot of...
Bovril is a sort of... You know what Marmite is?
Vaguely. Yeah.
Bovril is basically a meat snack drink, is the only way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically, imagine taking a cow and boiling it down so it can, fit in an egg cup. That's Bovril.
Yeah, if you want to have a fun time, you could certainly go to GameFAQs and look at the cheat section for this game. Just run down the list and tell me of any euphemisms that stand out that I might not have caught. But right now we're gonna continue with where we left off in the spooky chapter.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah, that castle up ahead, mansion. Yeah, very spooky. Apparently, we got an inheritance up there that we got to collect.
Oh wait, I vaguely remember one of the bits from this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was a big Coppola fan, is all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, we all know, everything that this is referencing. It's just a shame that we're not. It's just a shame we're not going up this winding hill with a whip in hand.
Although in this game, it would probably be more Corgo would be appropriate.
Yeah. I mean, this is Conker. He probably wouldn't
like it.
He probably wouldn't settle on a simple bullwhip. He would probably just bullshit a reason to immediately give himself fully upgraded vampire killer when just the whole thing is not even a whip. It's just a Morning Star flail.
Hey, why am I using this stupid whip? I should be using a rocket launcher.
Oh fuck. Oh well.
Yeah, so we lost. Put you back down to the beginning.
Yeah, thankfully that didn't happen, but I did just check. Yeah, we thankfully started this trek up here with full chocolate bars, so we only lost 1 point of health. But also, look at that number in the top right.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what Bovril bullet holes gives you. It gives you 50 lives, which is good because with the amount of times I'm expected to die in this final third, I don't feel like getting a lot of what is basically the same game over screens over and over.
Yeah, after a while it stops being funny and starts getting repetitive.
Yeah. Plus, you already saw the game over last stream, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
That is so evident.
Also, hi, Gary Oldman.
And so lacking in my own.
If I get in there. Okay, I'll just cross this threshold here. I'm sure that's of some significance. I don't think what it is. Anyway, my third.
It's probably nothing.
Nothing.
Nice hair.
So,
I can see the resemblance.
In these parts, what being out here in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
on such a cold and
Oh god, just thinking again about that fucking, like,
Hey,
Bram Stoker's Dracula movie.
just look at
And the fact that Keanu Reeves was in that as
I
well.
have many things to
We're basically
Yeah.
getting a dose of, like, 2
pray for.
Keanu references in this, like, final third of the game.
Getting a bit sick of chocolate anyway.
This way.
Yeah, the reason Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder were in it was simply because the executives were like, you've got a great cast here, but we don't have anyone that we think modern audiences will appreciate. So why don't we put in the 2 biggest stars and the most inappropriate ones we can imagine?
Yeah.
Things were just
It's just like- yeah, just... Hey, let's just get Ted Logan in here. Why not?
You know who we should get to do the music? Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
Wine?
I don't mind if I do, thank you.
I've only seen the clips, but the clips were just enough to remind, to just cement in my head that Bram Stoker's Dracula is an insane fucking movie.
No.
Like-
Visually, it's an amazing one.
Oh, yeah.
It does some very cool things.
And and again, what we've talked about with the casting, it is both amazing in how simultaneously appropriate and inappropriate it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, getting Anthony Hopkins to play Van Helsing is just spot on.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Tom Waits as Renfield, they're just like, do whatever you want. He's like, don't mind if I do.
Mm-hmm.
That union.
And Richard E. Grant plays Dr. Stewart, who again is really good in the role.
Right. That's right, yeah.
Gary Oldman, absolutely perfect. You know, always one of the best actors in anything that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big hole of credibility in 2 of the main roles.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder. Just not in this movie.
Yeah.
They do their best.
They went on to do better things.
Whenever you talk about my ancestors,
Because I think it was around about the same time she did Heathers and he did Bogus Journey.
Oh,
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but it was. I think it was within about a year or so, either way, or either side.
And of course, even though it's also not a good movie, she did go on to Alien Resurrection after this.
Really?
Arguably one of the best things about it.
No.
Yeah, she was pretty good in it. That and that basketball scene.
That, no.
I love. A fun fact about that is how at the end of that bit, Ripley does the basket
Yeah.
one-handed from behind.
Nails it on
That
the
was-
first take.
That wasn't CGI. She nailed it in the first take, and you can just see Ron Perlman break character and look at the camera and go, "What the fuck?"
Sounds like
Oh.
He was so impressed. He was just like, "Jesus Christ!" One of my favorite facts about any of the Alien movies.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah,
there's
there's,
more
like-
of them this time.
Like, I am of the mind that, like, I find Alien Resurrection to be a worse movie than 3, just because I can accept the Assembler's cut as being watchable enough. Certainly better
Yeah,
than how it was in the theatrical form. But yeah, just like some of those behind-the-scenes stuffs are just priceless.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen, anyone out there, if you haven't seen the documentaries on the Alien Anthology Blu-rays, absolutely amazing stuff. With Alien 3, it's a wonder they ever got the film made, let alone made competently.
Yeah, it solidifies it for you that it's like, you 100% sympathize with how David Fincher, right? I'm not confusing any of the
David
other
Fincher.
Davids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
David Fincher, yeah.
Yeah, Fincher, just how he resents that film to the point of actively trying to not list it like on his resume or things like that. And it's like, I get it.
Yeah,
So many
there was,
things were all working against you on this clusterfuck.
There was, I think it was an interview right at the time he did Zodiac, where one interviewer decided to broach the topic of Alien 3 because it had been like 22 years at that point So they thought, oh, just ask him, see what he thinks, and he just walked right out of the interview. Didn't say a word. He was just like, nope, not doing this. Can't say I blame him.
Same,
And,
yeah.
I mean, even Resurrection looks a hell of a lot better after Prometheus and Covenant. Jesus, that was a bad movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Covenant is one of the few times I've ever actually walked out of a movie because it was so insultingly bad.
God, yeah, it's just... Is that one series where after a bad entry you think, surely they'll find a way to course correct, but then it just manages to get consistently worse and worse.
Yeah, I think at this point we should just stop letting Ridley Scott make movies because he doesn't know what he's doing anymore.
Yeah.
Because I watched Covenant with the director's commentary on it just to see if that made... Like, if it made any sense for his design choices, and he keeps confusing androids with artificial intelligence. Like, technically, yes, there's crossover, but he's like, no, they're all the same thing.
We are now a bat.
Ooh, flappy.
Yep. You press B to go forward and A to go backwards. It's kind of weird, but you get used to it. B is technically above the A button on the controller, so I guess it makes sense.
So, do you have to hold the button down in order to continue flying?
Yes, you do. And you also press Z in order to just shit. Ow.
Pooping on everything.
Yeah, while also avoiding attacks from nearby angry villagers. So we gotta pick up all these villagers who came to kill Squirrel Dracula. We got turned into a bat by Squirrel Dracula, who is our great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or some shit. And now we have to feed him by dropping these squirrels into the mulcher. Yeah, I definitely don't remember this part about Bram Stoker's Dracula.
It was in one of the original chapters when it was being serialized in the Penny Dreadfuls.
Ah, true. Now, as you might expect, because this is Conker, everything we work towards is in service of like some sort of comedy bit. Naturally, us doing these horribly like inhumane acts against squirrel kind is going to result in something hilarious that is still to our benefit.
See, I don't know what happens genuinely, but my prediction. We overfeed Dracula, and he falls into the mulcher.
I didn't know you were a game designer.
I mean, it makes sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Plus, it wouldn't be the first time that we fed a creature to death. That fucking mouse in Barn Boys just gave him 3 pieces of cheese, and it made him so gassy he exploded.
Not to mention tossing bits of corn into the Great and Mighty Pooh's maw.
Yeah, but that was more at the expense of the sweet corn itself.
So do you need to go hunting for the villagers? They're not all roaming around the mansion.
Yeah. They're like, you can find them like in specific areas. You know, like this back garden hedge maze is like one of them. It's also very important as well that like, they're always in groups, so even if you just, like, shit on one of the squirrels to go and pick them up, if you don't also distract or incapacitate the other squirrels, they will just chuck spears at you. Hence,
sentences only ever said once.
True, yeah. Not a bad castle, though, for N64 graphics.
And it's easily comparable to the stuff they were doing in Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and Banjo and all that stuff. And even then, like, the way the geometry is... Oh, shit. Well, I'm not going back there.
Time to find another.
Yep, fortunately there was one right here.
Yeah, Rare really loved putting big spooky gothic castles in their games in the N64 era.
I think the common joke I've heard, which when I say common, I mean I just heard Chris Seaver describe this, is that because so much of what they did was designed in like what was essentially the early to pre-internet era, they didn't really have like much time to actually research other environments or cultures and things like that, so they just like based everything on whatever they had in the company library. Hence why there are so many jungle levels in their games, because they just have the Jungle Book.
Yeah. Funnily enough, that's in a roundabout way that's not too dissimilar to what the Hammer Horror Company used to do.
Oh, really?
They would rent out a Gothic manor, film the absolute living shit out of it. Like, every single corner would be used for like 3 or 4 movies, but from different angles and dressed up slightly differently.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, okay, we've literally gotten as much usage out of this place as we can. Let's find another one. And there'd be one like 20 miles down the road. So it'd be like, here's the parlor, here's another shot of the parlor, looking slightly different. Here's the library from a different angle.
Alright. I forget exactly how many villagers we have to like pick up, but fortunately, like the amount of villagers that you find going all over the castle that you need to pick up, it's like you need to feed less squirrels than there actually are squirrels in the environment itself, which is nice.
I think that's been about 4 or 5 now.
Something like that, yeah. I think we need to basically keep going until we have like we get like a second cutscene, I think, that demonstrates, you know, like another strand of the rope breaking.
Yeah.
And then
just keep going until the game says stop.
Yeah. And then once that's done, we'll have one final task in here, and then the spooky chapter's complete.
Yay!
Yeah, it's not a very long one in terms of like when you break down like each of the major tasks. Like you look back at the Ugga Bugga chapter that we went through, you know, like that was lengthy. There was so much individual shit that you had to do in there.
Yeah, I think that's why I keep expecting the game to be longer than it is, because the opening 3 areas or so are each like an hour and a half to 2 hours long.
Yeah, well, it's
and then
yeah.
And then when you get to the later stuff, it's like, yeah, just do this, done, next chapter.
Yeah, just the first few chapters, you know, like the early parts of Windy, Barn Boys, Bats Tower. Well, I mean, Bats Tower is slightly longer, but yeah, it's just like the opening areas and stuff like that, like they're very quick to get through. Like the two chapters of the game that always stick out in my mind as being definitely like the longest by far is Ugga Bugga, just because of the huge variety of tasks that you have, and then it's War, mainly because it's both a lot of tasks and also you die a lot.
Yeah, it's from what I understand, it's also like the penultimate big set piece of the game.
Yeah.
Like you've got other smaller bits, but it's the last. You've got other smaller bits following that, but it's the last big. This is like a showing off bit, kind of like the farm chapter.
Yeah, like once you finish It's War and you get onto the final chapter called Heist, like there's basically like 2 like major sort of like events, you know, like one task and then one boss fight, and that's basically it. Like so much of it is meant to be, you know, like it is like the wrap up of all the story beats and like kind of a victory lap, but not too easy as like other victory laps would be, you know?
Yeah, it's also just occurred to me, like, technically we don't really have much of a story other than Conker's trying to get home after a drunken bender.
Yeah, but he keeps getting distracted and like finding ways to get money out of it, because I think that's clearly where his priorities have swerved. He just wanted to get home and then realized, wait, I'm actually getting paid for helping these jackasses.
Yeah, it's like, I was just thinking there, I was like, oh yeah, plot. We have one of those, right?
Yeah. I mean, it makes enough sense that, like, when it came to the plot for this game, they literally started with drawing out what the beginning of the game was and what the ending of the game was. Which is funny because the way the game begins is literally showing you the end.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, we've established the beginning and end, so we could use that as an excuse to come up with whatever the fuck we like. Like, for the remaining, like, in between 95%.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's disjointed, but it definitely shows that they weren't planning on doing the connective tissue bit.
Mm-hmm. And
Just,
with all
hey, just like, hey, what movie references haven't we done yet? Okay, let's go with that.
Motherfucker, why does he keep dropping? Like, it dropped in literally the exact same spot, and I have no idea why he did that. I gotta take a different route. Fuck this.
Mm.
I forget it. There's still... Yeah, there's a squirrel over here. God bless this game for just coming up with the idea. Yeah, we're gonna turn you into a bat, and you literally shit on NPCs in order to incapacitate and grab them.
Quite violently as well. It's not just like a tiny little bird splatter. It's several metric tons of guano.
Yeah. Yep, called it.
Is that phone ringing? 'Cause I just called it.
Yeah? Your check's in the mail. Yeah, that kind of transformation has to be unpleasant.
That doesn't happen to you every day.
Just every other.
Oh great, and the zombies are back now.
Ah, more zombies. Time for the double barrel boy. Hopefully for the last time.
For the double barrel, this
Not in fact the last time.
Yeah, for the double barrel, I will say this actually is going to be the last time for that, but it's not the end for the guns.
Oh no.
Hold on. I'm just trying to get away from all these. There we go. It's also important to note, as well, as you're going through this mansion, it's like, or castle, I keep
It's
yeah.
kind of interchangeable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. When you're
Oh.
on these context-sensitive pads, you do swap out the double barrel with a crossbow. So there is a bit more weapon variety, I suppose. Just a
Not
bit.
as flashy, but a little bit more fun.
Mm-hmm. It's at least atmosphere appropriate. But yeah, right now it's like shit, what was I actually gonna get? Oh yeah, with the zombies like in this castle. As we go between each rooms, unfortunately every zombie you kill does not just stay dead. You actually, like, they do respawn after a point, and that kind of becomes like a major point with like how the... Oh fuck. I overshot that. I was trying to get on top of the bookcases, but the idea is that like you go between, if you leave a room and you go back to that room a bit later, like the zombies in there will be back. And that's kind of important to note because one of the tasks we have to do to get out of here is to grab 3 keys that go to the front door. And when you are holding the keys, you cannot attack. So you have no choice but to run and maneuver past them like you're trying to avoid zombies in a Resident Evil game.
That's annoying.
A little bit, yeah. Nice. Got them all. That's
Nice
important
shit.
because this is the route I'm actually going to need to take in order to bring the key with me.
Do the battery spawn, or is it just the zombies?
It's just the zombies, which is a relief.
Yeah, you can't really be too upset at zombies reanimated.
True. Also, Selnar lives again. Hi, Sel. Welcome back to stream.
Hello.
Now, oh great. Now I got Stephen Waite going in my head. I live again.
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
Ooh.
Yes, I know that's Army of Darkness.
Yeah. Ooh. This promises to be fun.
Jojo the dog boy. Jojo.
I want Jojo. I want Jojo. God bless Stephen Wade, and I am especially glad that like Dave Oshry and everyone in New Blood just has his number on speed dial because they can get him to voice whatever characters they want now.
That's right. He's the he plays the end boss in Dusk.
Yeah, he is literally Nyarlathotep.
Yeah, because I was watching someone play it, just like a speed run, and well, casual speed run, I should say, and because like there's barely any voice acting in the game, so when you hear it, you're like, oh, huh, that's surprising.
Yeah, it's pretty much like every voice I think is all just being done by Andrew Holschel because he had full control over the sound design.
Yeah, because really the only spoken dialogue is at the start of each new chapter.
Yeah,
and occasionally at the start of a level.
Yeah, like the character Jacob just saying some really ominous shit.
Yeah. So, like, when you get to the final boss, I was like, hang on a minute. That guy sounds awfully familiar.
Yeah. In a game that is very blood-inspired.
Yep.
It felt really great to hear him. And now he's also going to be in Gloomwood.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he was. You could actually hear his voice at the end of like the original demo they put out like last year or the year before, I forget. And it's and it doesn't just stop there because they also decided to get Terry Brocious to voice a character who's very Victoria-like because of course this game has a lot of Thief influence. And Looking Glass in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, after System Shock 1 and 2, Teddy Brocious can do no wrong whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad that they got her back for the System Shock remake. Because getting anyone, like, the only other person I could think of that could possibly play Shodan would be, forget the actress's name off the top of my head, but she played one of the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
The blonde one.
Alright. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check now.
So this is the second key, and in this particular instance, it is very prudent to take care of the zombies that are just standing around in this inner circle, so you have enough room to get out in time.
Trisha Helfer is her name.
Okay.
She has that same kind of almost regal voice that you just do not want to fuck with.
Yeah. And of course, that's only half of the equation for Shodan. The other half is like the insane modulation you have to do in order to like make it sound right.
Yeah.
Which, if you had to do it for any other voice actress to play the part, I'm pretty sure you would have to up the modulation by like an extra 50% to cover up any signs that like, oh wait, this is wrong.
Yeah. I mean, doing System Shock without Teddy Brocious would be like doing Portal without the voice actress for
GLaDOS.
GLaDOS, yeah. I just had Chell stuck in my head, and it's like, no, her voice actress is non-existent.
What was her name again? Because it's been so long since I've thought about like her voice work in Valve games that like I think
Margaret McLean or something. Ellen McLean.
Ellen McLean. Yeah. Yeah, I had a feeling it started with Ellen. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Like, she is that iconic in that level of iconic in the role.
She is the voice of the Orange Box essentially.
Yeah.
And like she's like the, she's the intercom voice that like basically like that like you hear through the Combine about like each like soldier's status when you kill them. She's the TF2 announcer, and of course she's GLaDOS.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I always forget that she does the announcer in Half-Life 2.
Yeah, although I think it's the sort of thing where like, I think it might have technically only started with episode 2. I think, because like when you hear her voice like read out in episode 2. It has a lot more of like what feels distinct as her voice, like that feels, based on if you were like if your point of reference was only based on hearing GLaDOS, because it's very similar. It's a bit different in 2 in episode 1 that, like, I can't tell if that's really just because it's a different voice actress or, like, if Ellen was just doing a slightly different delivery at the time. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, she's, like, ridiculously talented in general. I think it was Portal that they had it was either Portal or Half-Life 2 that they had, because you know Valve love doing their director's commentaries.
Yeah, a feature that I wish a whole lot more games were willing to do.
Yeah, because I hate having to buy the art book and get maybe 10% of the story, you know.
Yeah.
But they have, one of them has an interview with her where she's talking, I think it might have been Portal actually, or Portal 2, where she's talking about how, you know, voice acting is different because she's a classically trained singer.
Right,
and more to the
yeah.
point, she's an opera singer. And so just all of it, like in the middle of it, she's like, yeah, so, you know, like, I have a background in opera. Starts singing and it's like, holy shit, this woman is amazing.
Yeah. That's always
Like
nice to find when you just see, like, you know, like, voice actors in, like, popular entertainment, but you also see that they still have, like a background in, like, kind of more formal classical training, you know, for, like, stuff like opera or stage productions. Like, I want to say that's technically, like, where Stephen Russell started, actually, and still kind of is, you know, like, you know, voice of Garrett in the Thief series, as well as any other character that Bethesda Game Studios is willing to give him a check for.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain he has a background in theatre.
Which would definitely explain, like, his acting chops and range, especially.
Yeah, I mean, you can just tell from his delivery, you know? Like, a lot of the classic voice actors of the 80s and 90s started on the stage, you know? It's only really in the last 20 years that people have gone into the industry being like, I want to specifically be a voice actor.
Yeah.
Back then, it was just, I don't have anything going on, and these guys want to pay me like $5,000 to voice an elf. I'll do that for a month.
Yeah. Just whatever pays the bills, I suppose.
Yep.
Anyway, here we are. I've now, So while talking about, like, some of our favorite voice actors who have, like, some manner of classical training, I did the exact same mistake I did, like, on my last run, in which I grabbed the key, went over to that doorway over there before realizing that I needed to throw a switch, which was in the opposite direction of where I got off the ladder. And I could not drop the key, so I had no choice but to drop down 2 floors and essentially lose 4 hit points. But that's it. We're done. We're only, like, what? About, like, a little over halfway, and this is basically the last thing we needed to do for the spooky chapter. And we're just gonna get our asses out of here.
Finally.
I remember what game it was I was playing a couple of weeks back, but it was a similar thing where I kept dying in this one section. It was like, right, I've got to do this very specific set of maneuvers. Do this, then this, then this. And I kept fucking up in exactly the same way every time.
Yeah.
I was like, seriously, what is wrong with you hands?
It's so cruel in that case, because I feel like when you approach that ladder, you often get on it and then get off it with the camera facing in the direction that you think is the correct way to go, not knowing that the camera is not showing you the lever that you have to pull that's in the opposite direction. Anyway, redux of this little mechanic. Obviously a bit more tricky because you can't fall off at all.
Like, are you not able to, or is it just instant death?
Oh, it's instant death. I was steering it very carefully. But this is
yeah,
also...
I was gonna say, like, you were fucking booking it down that.
Yeah, well, I think it's the idea is that, like, once you're on the hill, momentum takes over, so all you need to worry about is just tapping left and right on the stick. That's kind of the way you manage to survive. But otherwise, it's like...
That's not too bad.
Yeah, and getting on this... God damn it. Oh, fucking hell, camera. Get stuck there. And again, that's another thing that happened in the exact same way the last time I played it. Just that camera getting stuck right behind the door. Oh, God.
So I'm guessing we wouldn't be able to access this area without the barrel.
Correct. The current going downstream would have been pushing against us really hard. And once we go through here, well, obviously we get money. That's the important part.
Naturally.
No, you want some great stuff.
All right. Yeah, green stuff. Puts it in a tube, lights it, smokes it. Wait, wrong stuff.
No, you're thinking of Resident Evil.
Right, yeah, green herbs. Also, hey, I recognize this gargoyle. We're back in the very starting area of the game.
That was the gargoyle on the bridge at the beginning.
That's correct. Like this shit's great. Just this moment of giving you, you know, I don't want to say it because I feel like this would be giving this game more credit or misleading you to think that it is one, but it's almost Metroidvania-like. Just that moment of you just take a big shortcut and be like, oh, I'm back here.
Internal continuity, I think, is the term.
That's true. The gargoyle escaped from the vampire castle because, yeah, probably. Yeah, he probably went through that exact same hole because he got tired of just resting his ass on that, on just any uncomfortable part of that entire castle. Oh god, I actually never thought about it from that perspective now that Cell brought it up. It was like, god, no wonder. That makes sense. So yeah, we just gotta go back up here now. Go back into the windy hub area, and then there will be one new section that is opened up. Alright. And it's gonna take up the majority of this stream, but hopefully it won't go for too long. We got 50 lives to spare after all.
Yeah, the next couple of chapters, I've never known how, like, I knew that, like, everyone spoke about the fourth chapter, but I've never been like, okay, how does this connect? Oh, wait, it doesn't.
This is, like, this cutscene we're getting is the only way to let us know that, like, that final door in the hub is open.
Yeah.
Because because you passed by it before, a place that is noticeably blocked off by barbed wire, you make the visual connection between that and this, and you're like, oh yeah.
You sign up at your nearest signing up station. There should be one near you. And remember, soldier, your country will be indebted to you.
That's a lie. They won't give a shit.
Yeah, as I said, like, hearing people talk about it, I was like, okay, so there's a big disconnect from dicking about on a farm and then going to a big gothic castle and then suddenly it's Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Where is the connection? Oh, you mean there is none? It is literally just pulling shit out of its ass at this point.
It's just everything.
Glad we're all on the same page.
It's just doing everything that they think is funny.
Basically, yeah.
Although, based on what technically goes on in the war chapter, I think that's stretching a very particular definition of funny.
Well, I mean, there's comedy, and then there's dark comedy.
True. True. You dumbasses, you never be asleep in the pilot's seat. What the fuck are you doing? It's a spoof of Saving Private Ryan, but only with squirrels and teddy bears. Yep. A concept that stuck with them so strong, it was like the whole crux of Live and Reloaded's multiplayer.
Yep.
Atrocious atrocity. Very atrocious.
That's some primal iteration right there.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only one of you.
It's the sort of thing that just reminds me of, like, the best part of watching any Devolver Digital conference, where it's just, like, they love to just, like, reuse, like, certain arrangements of, like, the same word and whatever.
Not quite catchphrases, but...
Yeah. The video game singularity will not stop until it is until it has consumed everything and becomes one thing, and that one thing is everything. I have to ask, I never really brought it up to you like on stream or off prior to this, but did you watch this year's Devolver showcase?
No, I normally with any of the big nerd proms, I don't bother watching them because they tend to be the exact same thing year in year out. Obviously, Devolver is the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But I usually prefer to get the information afterwards. That way I can just put out all the boring stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the commanding officer right there. He repeats the same thing he just said, realizes he fucked up, and goes, ah, fuck that shit.
Yeah, I can see why they're winning the war.
But yeah, seriously, it's like, at the very least, watch like the latest like Devolver showcase from this year, because it is, I think it's legitimately been like one of the best ones they have done in a while. Like,
see, the thing is, like, I always see people posting the pictures of everything that happens after the fact. And there's always a part of me that's like, just looking at them out of context, actually seeing them in context would just be a letdown. Because there is some weird shit going on.
I don't know. I think you owe it to watch this one. It has Mecha Suda 51.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Like, they just have, like, a robot come out that, like, has... that opens up, like, a chest panel to reveal a TV screen like it's RoboCop 2. Followed by Suda in a Max Headroom, like, backdrop, and just shouts, "What's up, nerds?"
You know, I'm not entirely convinced that is his natural state.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry that, like... Oh, my God. Just what the fuck do I have to do as far as, like, the, yeah, this is just kind of the annoying part with, like, how the, contrast and brightness automatically is with, like, the capture source compared to how it is on my TV. Like, I can see it just fine, but yeah, obviously trying to go through, like, this water is proven to be exceptionally dark, so I'm not sure how much changing this might help.
I'm kind of used to it being darker on my side of the stream, so, you know, if I can't see anything, I'm just assuming that everyone else can.
Yeah. I mean, the important part is that I'm able to play it and, like, actually see on a particular monitor. You know, it's not like how it is with, you know, like when I played Breakdown last year, and that was before I had my CRT to play off of, and just there are some sections that are so goddamn dark no matter what display I used, I had to jack up the in-game, like, brightness and contrast.
Yeah, I started playing Resident Evil Village again a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't bother changing the gamma and just had it as the game suggested. And I was like, yeah, I have no idea what kind of screen they're using, but I cannot say about that. That doesn't make it scary, that makes it annoying.
Yeah. Could be worse. It could be the Resident Evil 6 brightness screen and test shit, because that was, like, as far as what I recall from, like, people describing about it, it literally lies to you. Nothing about what they consider as being too dark or too bright on that game's brightness settings is anywhere accurate to what would be acceptable on, like, on a TV.
I mean, I barely remember anything that happens in that game, and I'm not entirely sure it's not because I've repressed it. So
it's understandable. I mean, like, unless you were like one of those weirdos who was able to get 600 hours out of playing fucking Mercenaries or something. Like that's the only excuse they have.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got maybe 20 hours in the main game, and then maybe another 20 playing Mercenaries mode. Mercenaries was pretty decent. But then Revelations 2 came along, and the mercenary mode in that just blows it away. Raid mode, it's called.
Yeah, well, yeah. I at least look at raid mode as, like, being, like, a very different thing by its very nature, you know? So, yeah, like, it's kind of fulfilling different things. I see, like, a lot of what the appeal is for Mercenaries in 6. But even then, I would probably say 5 might just, like, is just as good, if not more fun for me, just because of, like, kind of how it works as far as, like, the scoring and the fact that it's still based a lot more closely on the control system of, like, RE4 instead of, like, the weird mobility shit that they went for with 6.
Yeah, I'd say probably of the actual Mercenaries modes, 5 is probably my favorite. The one
Well,
from
5 in
Village
general
is
is
pretty good
like
as well.
your favorite, at least of all the action REs, right? Or at least it's one that you've played like a shit ton.
It's the one that I've probably played the most. Like, yeah, I've bought 4 on almost every console that's been released on that I own. But you know, anytime they re-release 5, I'm like, well, I'll pick that up as well when it's on sale, just in case I want to play it. But, went through it again just at the New Year there, and I was like, yeah, this game's actually still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So of the action ones, I'd say it's probably my favorite. Yeah, I mean the AI is still complete dog shit, but
Yeah.
as a whole, it's still a great game. Very underrated.
The AI was the main reason why I installed the Alone in Africa mod.
Yeah,
I just made them invisible and invincible, but still gave them guns, so I just had like a floating pair of like shotguns with me.
Just every so often, a zombie next to you gets its head popped, and you're like, oh, that's a nice surprise.
It's like a guardian angel's watching over me.
Cue biblically accurate Sheva Alomar pictures.
Yeah. I mean, we are in Africa, after all, for that game. Pretty close to the cradle of life, wherever that might have been.
Yeah.
I should really find the time or someone to, like, play RE5 co-op proper, just because I've never done that.
Yeah, it's not something I've ever played either. I've played with randos every now and then, but there was a really annoying thing that people would do where they would come into your game at the start of a chapter with absolutely no weapons whatsoever. No weapons, no grenades, no supplies, nothing. And then they would quit out, meaning the AI partner would have no weaponry whatsoever.
Wow,
whatever they had, at least that's what happened. That's what happened on the PS3 and 360 versions, at least. I don't know if they fixed it. I doubt they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd be like, oh, okay, so you're telling me that I just basically have to restart the chapter because this fucker dicked me over. Great.
And this is why randos suck.
Yep. This is why I play things single player.
Same.
I have no time for that.
Only context where I'd be potentially fine with just like playing randos is if it's something like an arena shooter, where I've got like I got a server browser I can pick up. I could just pop into a game that's already in progress, and then just like frag, for how long I like for the moment, and then quit out when I'm done. Like no need for any extra human interaction or tactics. Just let me kill or get killed, and then I am fully de-stressed for the rest of the day.
And then someone adds you as a friend in game, you add them back, and then spend the entire rest of your time playing the game avoiding them.
Yeah.
No, don't. Like, I'll add you as a friend. That doesn't mean to say I'm going to play with you. Apologies to about 99% of my Steam friends there.
Yeah. Okay, trying to keep in mind, I think, like, I remember now, like, the general location of where all these, like, mines are, because as we have not been talking about much, like, the current task at hand, we've had these little imps that, unbeknownst to them, they have a giant keg of TNT strapped to their back. And we have to push them to the blockage of that downed bomber.
Oh, another one. Hi.
Actually, I thought they were ants.
I don't suppose.
Yeah, I know. Toilet paper. Come on.
They don't have an extra pair of arms, and yeah, just the Yeah, there's some implications with this where it just seems like this creature's entire existence is to get killed and respawned in a way that seems, like, subtly but actively acknowledged. It's like, another one. What do you mean another one? It's just me. Yeah, whatever. I know. You need toilet paper, right? Get out here. Don't mind what's on your back right now. It's okay. I'll give you a hand.
You're carrying happy supplies. Keep moving. Don't think about the implications.
Don't worry. It's a surprise mechanic.
It's a surprise tool that will help us later. But help me. You're gonna have a few problems.
Yeah, just... Oh, fuck.
Right,
yeah. After the fourth one, I have to, like, swerve to the right because there's a one on the left immediately after. And then I think it starts to alternate a bit more frequently. Yeah, that's always one of the harder ones to get through, but it's like... It's fortunately beat if you easily, like, if you can rely on, like, pure memorization and whatnot. The problem is I don't have this committed. I don't have this committed to memory because I've got other things that are worth remembering. Alright. Do this again.
Like I said, the fact that they respawn very quickly just seems unfair.
Yeah, oh, I thought you were referring to the guy with the TNT, but then like the mines themselves, I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, it is kind of bullshit that you can't just proc them immediately.
Yeah. Or even just run ahead and be like, okay, triggering this guy now.
Yeah, like, they always go back underground after a while is the problem. Okay, so there we go. That's how you get around that. I mean, you can kind of push a little bit and then just walk a bit forward because, like, he won't despawn if he, like, leaves, like... outside like the view of your camera. So yeah, that's how we know the next mine is on the left, so we can avoid that for now. And then yeah, it's alternating like so. And we got it. That was only the second try of that particular side. Not bad.
Not too bad.
Now all we gotta do is just blow him up. The next sacrificial lamb.
The next of many.
Yeah, plus a test run, Drew. After all, the real hell's only gonna start once we are able to get out of this dock.
Yes, and I know about the War Chapter only by reputation. And the fact that everyone just, like, whenever people start talking about Conker, someone inevitably just goes, the War Chapter, and then everyone nods solemnly.
Yep. It's the sort of thing
it's
where...
like, I've read Russian tragedies that had less suffering implied in a single gesture.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess you could say it accurately, like, or reflects the idea that war is hell. That doesn't necessarily excuse it, though.
War is hell. We made this game to prove it.
Yeah. Alright.
Okay, I've done what you asked.
Well done, soldier. What the hell's that?
Dick. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't have enough volunteers for a war that nobody wants to fight in. Alright, and here it is. Yep, welcome to conscription. Have a free concussion and a hard hat.
See, I've got one of those. Don't need the other.
Would somebody mind telling me what's going on here?
Well, we'd like to, but we can't avoid the voice actors.
It's like, what do you mean a Ford? There's only one.
Seconds. Nice knowing you guys.
Yep, here it is. Just the start of like things. Like, this goes past, I feel, what it would be considered dark comedy. This is just cruel. I mean, you're recreating the D-Day scene from Saving Private Ryan. There is no other way to spin it. Well, I guess maybe you can try to find a way to spin it comically, but it would make you, it would feel like you're, I don't know how much that would say about you just trying to, like, make something funny out of something that is very horrific to watch on screen.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I recall like an old video like on the early days of YouTube that I think tried to do something like that, and it was basically, you know, the scene from Saving Private Ryan that this was parodying, but with like TF2 music and like voice clips.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's like, I admit I laughed, but I was like, yeah, this is also kind of fucked.
I mean, I remember when 9/11 happened, the entire day was like really just, no one knew what to feel. And I'd just been sitting in the living room watching the news the entire day. And then I went online and immediately someone sent me a picture of the first tower getting hit by the plane with the Counter-Strike HUD over it and the terrorists win in the middle.
Oof.
And I did the biggest laugh.
Yeah. Okay, I guess there is one minor funny thing, and it was that squirrel walking by without his arm, picking up his arm, and then just walking off.
Yeah, which is straight from the movie, if I remember right.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, that would have been the case.
There's the guy shell-shocked, like, trying to find his arm. I think there's another bit as well with the guy trying to hold his intestines in.
Yeah, obviously they didn't recreate that particular bit of gore in this scene. I guess they just found it like it worked enough in a cartoon sense.
Yeah, see, I imagine the only reason they didn't do that was because they didn't have the technology.
Yeah,
Everything's a bit too blocky.
Yeah, consider.
Why is he carrying a big chunk of spaghetti-looking rope?
Yeah. So here we go, just running to the beach. We're not able to shoot back or anything because we literally have just been thrown headfirst into this conflict without our consent.
Yeah, God forbid they give you a gun.
Conker's just kind of in a waking nightmare right now.
Serpentine!
Hey! Where's the rest of them?
And yeah, like, Cell brings up a good point as far as, like, not trying to make this funny, but then compare it to, like, you know, other game companies, like, trying to, like, make something, like, dark or, like, edgy in a way that just misses the point. Mainly, like, EA's, like, manufactured outrage from, like, the marketing of Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, I remember they really pushed the fact that there were unbaptized razor babies in the game.
Yeah.
It's like, someone at EA, at Visceral in particular, really didn't like kids because you had, like, back-to-back, you had Dead Space 2, Dante's Inferno, and Dead Space 3, and all of them had you killing children. Oh, and the original as well.
Yeah.
Original Dead Space.
Yeah, everyone fucking remembers that daycare in Dead Space 2.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like...
And now we're getting the general pattern references.
Yeah. Yeah, but just... God, just fucking Dead Space, thinking about that again. It's like the fucking... Like, those first two games, at least, are fun in their own rights. But man, it is so hard to, like, look at what they were going for horror-wise and not think that they just had, like, a couple of edgelords on staff coming up with what they thought would be, like, so, like, intense and scary.
I mean, was it the second or the third? I think it might have been the third. They had the advertising campaign of Dead Space, the game your mother doesn't want you to play, and it's like, motherfucker, this game is 18 certificate.
Yeah.
Like, if you are legally old to play this game, you should be past the point of caring what your parents think about the media you consume, assuming it's legal.
True. Anyway, time to play a bad third-person shooter. While taking a lot of damage that is hard to avoid.
Apparently it was the second game. I knew it was one of the two. because the ad campaign for the first game was actually really understated and really good.
Yeah, it's like it actually knew that it was trying to be a horror game.
Yeah. Second game was a phenomenal action horror game, but it was an action game first and foremost.
Yeah, it was the series Aliens moment. You know, still tense.
Just because you ramp the action up doesn't mean you can't still make it a good horror experience.
Now, here's the thing that is like my number one loathing point with It's War, more so than even the combat encounters.
Don't tell me they're making you jump over lasers.
Jump, duck, crawl under, all kinds of maneuvering. And they explode, dealing 2 hit points worth of damage.
I've always thought the trip mines in games are like the laziest way of doing any kind of platforming or maneuvering challenge.
It is the thing that I still, even though it is part of the game that is not like bad and so terrible that I don't want to finish it, but I always kind of disliked the whole navigating the tripwire maze in Half-Life. Like when you get to that part of surface tension.
Half-Life 2 has a couple of really bad ones as well.
Not anywhere near as bad.
Oh no, like nowhere near as bad, but bad enough that I still remember them and I haven't played the game in like 14 years.
The thing is, it's like the only tripwire maze of any kind I still remember from Half-Life 2 was the one, I think, in like Fall of Freeman, I think it was, when you're trying to like storm like the building that has the suppression field that you got to take down. And it's one where like, yeah, because Barney is with you and he's like, yeah, I think you better take care of this one yourself, Gordon. And it's like, thanks, Barney, you prick. But it's like, it's so much less, it is a lot less lasers than the one in surface tension. And you're able to circumvent a lot of it by just taking the high ground. You don't get that luxury in surface tension. You have to like figure out for sure like what you can actually do to avoid them. And if you so much as trip them, you get startled by a loud boom followed by a nuclear explosion because, surprise, it takes place in a nuclear hangar. Because what the fuck are we doing at Black Mesa, guys?
I think the better question is, what aren't we doing at Black Mesa? That entire thing was science for the sake of it.
It was. Like, I mean, questionable ethics already says it for you.
I mean, don't forget, canonically, like, Aperture Science was like, yeah, we're bad, but compared to these guys...
Yeah. Yeah, anything's better than working at Black Mesa. Even if it means, like, you have to deal with, like, the one employment hazard of being under the employ of Cave Johnson.
But he's just so charming.
So charmingly garrulous.
Chariots.
Oh, a brief bit of Aliens-inspired, like, camera and, like, running to the elevator, even though these aren't aliens.
Yeah, you know they would have gone for the ceiling panel if they'd had the technology for it.
Yeah. Black Mesa is more like the Space Pirate Lab for Metroid. Crimes Against Humanity / Good Idea Lab.
But you can't have one without the other.
Just... I mean, it makes sense for me to, like, bring this up even though everyone knows it, but, like, anyone that's played Metroid Prime 1 fucking remembers that Space Pirate base where you scan for the logs of them just trying to reverse engineer shit to do with Phazon, the Metroids, Samus's arsenal, including the failed Morph Ball prototypes, which was so bad that even they were like, okay, no, we need to stop this. We can't comprehend this. All of our test subjects are forever crippled, if not dead.
That one that ends with words to the effect of the science team suggests we should try injecting more phazon into things. I respectfully suggest that the science team has vapor for brains.
Yeah. I think there was also one as well about, like, putting up, like, a notice for people that, like, no one is allowed to, like, raise or domesticate the Metroids for use as pets. Shut up.
Yeah.
We're not doing this.
Isn't there one as well? I can't remember if it was in the game or if it was just something that people came up like, wouldn't this be funny? But there's another one as well, I think, where they talk about using the Metroids for disposing of waste.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, let's throw all kinds of weird chemicals into the Metroids, because that's not going to make things worse.
Yeah. And Cell does bring up as well, like, the detail, or, like, theories, rather, of just as far as, like, there are two ways that the Morph Ball ends up working. And, like, number one, which is she just converts herself into energy and surrounds her and materializes a ball shell. Like, that's the one that makes the most sense, because you look at Prime, and, like, that little slit down the middle of the ball is clearly you seeing energy in there. But I still like the idea more of, like, that she just contorts like a gymnast. But I actually have, like, a third one that is maybe, like, a combination of both. I'm not sure. And it's fan art that I'm pretty sure we've all seen. It's the one where she turns into the Morph Ball, and inside the Morph Ball, she's driving it around like it's a car.
See, I've seen another one where it's just the Morph Ball, but inside she's just, like, really tiny.
Yeah.
Sitting under a Katatsu with a nice warm jumper on.
Yeah.
Just drinking some tea, and I'm like, that's how I like to imagine it, because it's really cute.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Though I would also like to imagine that there would still be enough space, even in, like, room in her spaceship, to allow for that kind of setup to begin with.
Oh yeah, she's just got a mini version of everything. She just likes being really cozy. Because they actually, I can't remember which game it is, but they actually say that she prefers to spend time in Morph Ball because she finds it comforting or something. So, like, I just like to picture her, like, having, like, a self-care day where she's just, like, warm blankets, nice movie on, just drinking cocoa.
Yeah. That sounds fun. Oh yeah, that's all. That is a good point. That, like, the Morph Ball, at least how it was presented in Prime, is like 3 feet wide. You know, that, like, that's basically like half of, like, roughly half of, like, what her height is supposed to be. Obviously, if we're just ignoring Other M entirely, because everyone should.
Yeah,
you know, she's a tall lady.
Like, yeah, she's like, what, 6'1" outside the suit.
Yeah. Yeah, she's Julie
6'6"
Strain.
inside. Like, she is a tall lady.
Yeah.
Rather than the weird midget with daddy issues we got from Other M.
Yeah. Yeah, thank God people were able to eventually just tell Sakamoto no after that disaster.
Yeah.
And someone got his head back on straight of, we should just make, like, an actual Metroid game, like something people want. And it worked.
Yeah, like, typically I'm against pandering to the fans, because once you start, it's difficult to stop.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say would have been bad about it is if they somehow decided that the only way to fix it was to, like, hire the fans themselves. And I've already seen enough Super Metroid ROM hacks to know that is clearly the opposite of what I want, thank you. Yeah,
in those cases you should do what the fans suggest, or take what the fans suggest, and then cut it down by about 20,000%, because they're always going to want the most painfully difficult thing possible.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a bit different.
Okay, here's an amusing scene.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of stories behind this.
The Frank and Teddy's.
Intelligent people. I mean, what would that do? Let's face, what would it do?
Really? That's interesting.
What the f***? It's that bloody squirrel. Quick, character!
Yeah, I'd heard that apparently that was vaguely based on something a Nintendo executive said to them.
I think it was specifically like someone like in the QA department, either at Rare or Nintendo themselves, and it was, again, as per Chris Seaver's way of doing things, it was his way of taking the piss out of them. But it also served a second purpose. One thing that they were wanting to do with this game was take a page out of Toy Story 2's book and have fake outtakes at the end.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be the joke, like what's happening on top of
actors.
Yeah, just like the idea is that originally there was going to be a scene where you walk in on these teddies like doing a dissection on a squirrel who was still alive. You know, Nazi shit. And
Section.
yeah, and just
Vivisection is if they're still alive.
oh yeah, like that.
Don't ask how I know that.
Okay. Well, regardless, they're cutting him open and they're alive, and he doesn't even have anesthetic, and he's like, "Help me!" And it's yeah, like it's the kind of cruel shit that they would do in that instance. But yeah, what we saw there was what originally would have been the outtake. I think like another one that they described was one back in the Barn Boys chapter when dealing with the oh my god, oh fuck.
Hey, first death in the war chapter.
Yeah, I'm surprised. His hand was still twitching.
Yeah, I would have thought for sure it would have been with the trip mines.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, especially when, like, the very first trip mine, I was down to only 2 bars of chocolate left. If I had touched one, that would have been bad. I would have respawned, and I would probably have to do that combat encounter again at the beginning. Fortunately, I did not. Yeah, just that last Teddy, I have no idea why a lot of my bullets weren't hitting or something, you know?
Yeah.
Or if he somehow had more damage.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is still an N64 game, and they were always notoriously janky when it came to stuff like that.
True. Just stuff like this is like, man, I know that Live and Reloaded is not as good as this, but just knowing that, like, I could play through the war chapter with something more resembling actual, like dual analog shooter controls sounds infinitely better than what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing here, as you might expect, like, I am holding the R button constantly to go into this over the head mode, because you don't even see a shoulder on this. And the idea is that, like, I am strafing and moving forward and backward with the C buttons, and aiming with the analog stick, which also means, by the way, because this is rare and during the N64 era, of course the motherfuckers decided that up and down needed to be inverted.
Of course, with no way to change them.
Yeah, I mean, fucking GoldenEye and Perfect Dark had the decency to let you change that, because they were shooters first and foremost. It makes sense.
I think it's that switch over there. But be careful. I think the other one is, you know, frying tonight.
Yeah, just stay there. The cavalry has arrived. Sorry, you can't move. Let's see now.
Do you know which section?
I see, and absolutely no way in which this can go wrong.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's, example number 43 of well-meaning Red Squirrel fucks things up for everyone.
Local red squirrel ruins everything, murders thousands, film at 11. Let me guess, no matter which one you pick.
That's another check coming in the mail for you.
Hang on a second, I think it's this one, actually.
You really got great design chops, or at the very least, good comedy writing.
I'm an ideas man, what can I say?
I'm not quite bad.
He is
Yeah, but it's
so fucking charred.
Strange, though.
It's like he's missing textures.
You look great.
I gotta go.
Dead, I've just been transformed into sentient charcoal.
Yeah, that's
Barely sentient.
it. And going back again to Live and Reloaded, because again, I feel like with the Ward chapter, that was where like a lot of like noticeable changes started to take place. Is that scene? Oh yeah, and also, yeah, we have to hit the other switch to open the door. But like you said, if I picked the right one first, he still would have gotten fried because it's funny. But
I mean, duh.
yeah, but the idea is, but the thing is that like in Live and Reloaded, that electrocution scene, I'm pretty sure goes on for even longer. like over 30 seconds or something. Because it cuts to the squirrel in the chair getting electrified, screaming his head off, and then cutting back to Conker, just staring at what's happening, like, what do I do? Cuts back to the squirrel, cuts back to Conker, then the squirrel, then back to Conker, who has pulled out a nudie mag and is just reading it, whistling, waiting for the electrocution to stop. And then the squirrel, after he's done being fried, is like, hey, what do you know? I'm not half dead. how do I look? And then he turns, and then his, like, left eyeball just falls out of the socket, but still attached. Yeah, it's like what you were saying when we were going up the beach about how they didn't recreate certain scenes from Saving Private Ryan because they didn't have the tech to, like, do the gore properly. I feel like that was the mentality they were trying to go for when they were recreating that chapter in Live and Reloaded.
Yeah, like I said, like again with Live and Reloaded, I really only know of it by what people have said. But the general impression that I always got was the war chapter was bad, but the Live and Reloaded version is tolerable. Not great, but playable, and you don't hate it.
Yeah. So this one's still going to be a bit tricky and probably result in my death as well. In fact, I'm just going to die right here. Fuck it.
I think you can't draw his fire one direction.
Well, the thing is like, I was trying to get back on the rope, but it was like, because the barrel was already trained in my general direction, I couldn't get on the rope and climb all the way back up in time before his bullets just shot me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the idea is you just got to go from cover to cover and then get to the rope, because there's an upper platform that has a B pad. Oh, fuck. I get down. Also, Jesus Christ, that takes off 3 points of health. Or at least... Or was it still 2? I'm not sure. Fuck. Oh, whatever. Who cares?
I think it was 2, and then for whatever reason, the Mercy and Vulnerability didn't kick in.
Yeah, okay, so here we go. I just need to be up here. Run, run, run. There we go. And now we have the turret.
Ho, ho, ho.
So, alright. It's still the same turret controls and mechanics as the one from when we went to get the hive a second time. God damn it. I'm trying to...
As you're doing turret sections before they were used.
Yeah, and dealing with it with choppy frame rate, as you would expect. You gotta make sure to keep paying attention to like both doorways, because man, there's no radar on this, so you don't have like a handy circle that you can refer to that lets you know where enemies are or when they're about to shoot you, which I kind of wish this section did.
Yeah, I think that was a change in Live and Reloaded, wasn't it?
Maybe. I can't remember from what I saw of the war chapter if they still gave you like a something like a fucking radar, like a mini map, but
yeah,
definitely would have been for the multiplayer.
Yeah, I might be thinking of that.
Yeah, still kind of want to try the multiplayer, especially since it is like compatible with X-Link Kai, you know, just tunneling system link and all that. So like it could be interesting. I mean, like just based on the sound of like the old Conker devs that worked on the remake had to say about it, they definitely were more invested in creating that multiplayer than like the whole idea behind the remake.
Yeah. I always kind of got this, a slight impression that they were like, we'll do the remake if we can get to flesh out other bits that we actually care about.
Yeah, which they were only able to do so little. Conquers the platonic ideal of a gormless shit dip. You're definitely gonna have to remember that description. Anyway, yeah, we respawned, but fortunately the teddy that was on the turret is not there, so we can just continue where we left off.
For that.
Yeah, it's a weird bit of mercy from this game, I have to admit.
I take it you can't abandon the turret to get additional health or anything?
Oh, you can, actually. But it's not advised because you're also dealing with a whole lot of teddies at the same time. Oh my god. Where the... Oh, that's why. They were already over there. Yeah, I'm just gonna pick up a chocolate or two. And I still lost it anyway, so what was the point?
Oh, you were down to 3, you got 2.
Okay, come on. Yeah, this is definitely like the annoying part of like dealing like with the turret, because it's like, you see me firing a volley to multiple bullets. That is equal to 1 press of the Z button. So it's doesn't give you enough room for like accuracy as much as I would like, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when your aim is very swimmy. And I'm explicitly using an original N64 control stick for this, because I have definitely found that while like the aftermarket like replacement sticks are like a good choice for just like general N64 games, for aiming it's kind of a deal breaker, because they don't do a very good job of accurately replicating like the full dead zone of what the original stick was capable of. And I feel for like, with how many of Rare's games are all built around like some manner of like aiming with the stick to shoot, that's kind of important.
Yeah, I remember the N64 pad, the stick not only being very stiff, but also very springy.
Yeah.
Like, it would always snap back to dead center unless, you know, the pad itself was at the end of its life.
And you always had to give it like a lot of push to get to certain speeds, but that was still ultimately to its benefit, because a lot of the games, especially Mario 64, designed it so that it's like you have so many different ranges of movement. Like, if you ever want to fucking wonder why it is that like when it comes to analog movement, most developers just simplify it to walk and run. Like that, like
you had like 4 or 5 different run speeds in 64.
Yeah,
Mario 64.
Like the apps, and like some of them had like variants in speed because they were like in thresholds. It's basically like the sort of thing that you would see more like in like an accelerator for a car, you know? But it's with a stick and not a pedal. I kind of like it, but I also get why they don't do that, and it would probably be extra hell trying to do that with today's sticks that seem to be so prone to like some manner of drift.
Yeah.
This is a scene that actually got changed in this, but in Live and Reloaded, it actually got reverted to what it was originally supposed to be. Like there's 3 posts because there were supposed to be 3 squirrels getting executed. And "Could you untie me, please?" was said by another squirrel, one of them who gets shot. So we gotta save this guy who doesn't seem to really be in much danger, if I'm being honest.
He seems hunky-dory.
Yeah. Alright. Oh. Okay, hold on. There we go. There we go. Thank goodness headshots are still lethal, even though they're not zombies.
Yeah, kind of surprised that they include that.
Hey, fella.
Because headshots were always a thing in shooters at this era, but in third-person shooters, you know, it always seemed a bit hit or miss.
Yeah, just Rare basically pioneered that shit, I feel like. Because I can't think of, like, any other, like, first-person shooters that, like, really went for it before GoldenEye. There wasn't, I'm pretty sure, there wasn't any sort of, like, locational damage in Duke Nukem, for instance.
No.
But, which is weird, because with all, like, the level of interactivity that game has, you would think they would have tried to do it.
Yeah, think about it, not even Quake had that.
No, it was just more focused on making sure,
for that matter.
Just making sure that it was a game that would render exclusively polygons and would run fast.
Yeah. Quake 2 didn't have it either.
So what does that mean?
It means if somebody shoots me, I don't die.
Really? That's a pretty good idea. I'll get me some of that.
Yeah, that's real good.
The only one.
It's helpful.
So this is Conker's old friend, Rodent. With no prior introduction, just that Conker recognizes him.
Sounds good to me. Right.
Hey, his buddy from before the war.
Yeah.
What, you mean like 20 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Before the war.
So you could see how maybe they had an alternate name for, like, this chapter. Instead of calling it It's War, they could have called it Saving Private Rodent. I mean, we came all this way. Even though this wasn't our original intent, we did come here to save this guy.
True, but at this point, he's the one saving your ass.
Yeah, well, he's returning the favor. After all, I already lost 2 lives wading through this shit. Anyway.
In Soviet Conker, Private Rodent save you!
That up there.
Also, Rodent just looks kind of cute, just because of, like, just how that armor looks.
Bringing out the heavy
Like, he
stuff.
basically
Giant
has no
glasses.
legs.
You go first.
Yeah, he's really more like a furry turtle.
Yeah,
Go on then.
a Squirtle.
Probably the concept.
Well, I guess that's another way that you could, like, call something a Squirtle, just the combination of squirrel and turtle.
Squirtle.
Yep. Anyway, I actually don't need guns for this particular stretch, because what we're going to be doing is that we gotta walk until we trigger a mine, and then stand behind Rodent as the mine explodes right in front of him, and we don't die. It's as simple as that.
Hey.
He's the best friend you could want.
He's the best friend we've made this game.
Yeah. Alright. Just a leisurely stroll through hell. You doing alright there, buddy? You're panting pretty hard. I can't imagine that armor is light in the least.
Probably pretty warm.
Yeah. And chafy, maybe.
I mean, it will be made of asbestos. So get you.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing they didn't tell him when they said that he was going to be the test subject for this new experimental armor.
We'll keep you alive for now.
Yeah, yeah, just don't mind the itchiness in your lungs 5 years from now. It's okay.
Yeah, 20 years from now, you're probably going to regret it, but on the plus side, you'll be alive enough to bitch about it 20 years from now.
Also, like, this section's been a pretty good way to demonstrate, again, something we talked about with, like, the camera effects, and how we just seeing, like, the cracks on the screen itself as bullets collide with it.
Yeah, again, like, back when this first came out, that was a huge deal.
Yeah, this is just... like... if there's always one thing I could count on with Rare during this era that makes a lot of their games worth it, even if, like, their Nintendo equivalents might be better in the gameplay department, brilliant attention to detail. Like, attention to detail in the way that I feel like not even their N64 games were really hitting it off on. And that I would not be surprised if their business partnership with Rare during this time is what eventually led to them embracing this kind of mentality on, like, a lot of their later and more recent games, you know? Like, you play something like Mario Odyssey, and just, like, hell, even before that, I'd say the Galaxy games. Just the weird sort of, like, flourishes in the environment that are just designed to respond to, like, you doing, like, your core basic interactions. Does a lot to make it feel like it's a lot more alive and less of a static world than it is.
Yeah, like, everyone talks about how, you know, everyone copies off of Nintendo, but it's like, you know, ideas don't form in a vacuum.
Yeah.
It pretty much stands to reason that they've learned as much from their second and third party companies as they took from them.
Yeah. Now, if only they could, like, take what they learned working with Silicon Knights and give us, like, a new, like, survival horror game with, like, some Cthulhu elements.
Oh, what you mean, like the Sunken City?
Yeah, maybe not that directly Cthulhu.
Oh, what you mean, like Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu, the official video game?
No,
Sorry,
just,
you mean like a good game.
yeah, when I say, like, something inspired by a good game in this context, you know there's only two. It's either Eternal Darkness or it's Bloodborne.
There's also Dark Corners of the Earth, but that's not without its problems.
Yeah. That was stupid of me. Just trying to run up. I wanna say that like they still save like the locks being blown open on this, I think. Because hold on, let me check. Yep,
Eternal Darkness being as good as it was is in spite of Silicon Knights, not because of it. Yeah, Dennis Dyack is the low tax of Silicon Knights.
He is the low tax of Canadian game development.
Yeah, everything good that came with that game happened in spite of him.
Yeah,
Teddy's in here.
and it's the sort of thing where it's like,
Now that may come in
oh
handy.
yeah. I've certainly talked about it before, especially a lot when I... Holy shit, yeah, it has been over a year since I streamed Eternal Darkness.
Hey, we go.
Literally the
That's
second
right.
stream playthrough I did for this channel. That's how old it is.
It was the first one that you did without me, if
Yeah.
I remember right.
Yeah, paving the way to getting me pretty comfortable with just being able to talk about random bullshit, like with some manner of confidence. But yeah, just thinking again about Eternal Darkness is like definitely one of those games where like I always think about it in the context of, boy, do I love it. Boy, do I wish there was like a version that fully realized its potential, because there's still a lot left that could be touched up on.
Yep. There's so many games where, like, obviously, like with some games like Eternal Darkness, all the stuff, the what could have been is better documented than others.
Yeah,
But you read about some of the bullshit that was going on behind the scenes at Silicon Knights, and it's like, how did that company make any games, let alone kickstart Eternal Darkness, which is still considered one of the gold standards for horror, and Legacy of Kain? Like, yes, they eventually got the franchise taken away from them, but even still, that original game holds up remarkably well today.
yeah. And a lot of it primarily because, you know, most likely similar to when working with Nintendo, they had to capitulate to like a lot of feedback from Eidos themselves telling you, okay, listen, you need to do this if we want to have any hope of a game that's shippable.
Yeah, they always talk about how creativity thrives with restriction.
Yeah, art through
But-
adversity.
Yeah, but
Oh,
sometimes, you know,
hopefully
that
that's open
adversity
door on the
is
outside.
needed
But whatever, it's
because
done.
the folks in
I bet it's one of
charge
those let's
are
like it
complete
moments.
fucking dipshits.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, as I said, like Eternal Darkness in particular, the stories of mismanagement, how, you know, they were constant, like, it's one story that I heard that one of the devs essentially had to go above everyone's heads because Dennis Dyack was wanting to scrap everything and start again every, like, 6 to 8 months, you know, the George Broussard effect.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like, you can get away with that at the beginning if you're like, okay, something's not quite right here. But he did it like 3 or 4 times. Because, like, remember, Eternal Darkness was originally touted as a launch title.
Well, before that, it was planned to be an N64 game.
That's right.
And, like, one of the most technically impressive ones, because, admittedly, this was a story I recall being told by Dennis Dyack himself, which I'm kind of loath to give mention to for obvious reasons. But he did talk about, you know, like, the earliest meetings with Nintendo when they were, like, pitching the game to them. And, like, giving, like, a demonstration of what they had made on N64. And I think he described it where it was like, yeah, they were able to, like, get the high-resolution mode for N64 games running without the expansion pack. And it led to an instance where I think while the game was still running in, like, the presentation room, one of the Nintendo execs took off the lid covering where the expansion pack was supposed to go, just to double-check and make sure you guys didn't sneak this in here, right? Like, how the fuck are you making a game run at 640 by 480 with just the regular 4 megs of RAM?
I mean, I'm not gonna blame them for checking that, because that kind of shit is endemic in the industry.
Yeah. And really satisfying when you find it, because wow, you guys, like, some of you people out there are like way bigger technical wizards than we gave you credit. Alright. So we gotta make the way for this tank to cross these bridges while also blowing out the supports on this big turret, which is kind of what you saw me shooting at the base, like those yellow and black stripes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was because the screen's still pretty dark on my side. I
Yeah,
wasn't sure if that was like supports or if it was like a like some kind of defense system or something.
Yeah, it's admittedly like, I know, like
Yeah, because
this game.
I can see the yellow stripes, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just.
I
Oh, man.
figure they're attached to something, but what that could be, I have no idea.
Yeah, just. God, I wish there was just a better way of like dealing with like the fucking brightness and contrast settings on my goddamn like. Maybe I don't need to do it with the Elgato. Not the Elgato. I've stopped using Elgato since April. What the fuck? No, I meant like the. Let's see if there's something I can do with like maybe like boosting the gamma a bit more. I don't know how much that might help. I'm gonna try not to do this. I guess it kind of didn't make much of a difference.
Yeah, it's not really too noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, fuck it. I'm just gonna...
I just leave it as it is. If it's not going to make that much of a difference, then there's no point dicking about with what works.
Alright, yeah, just... Yeah, this is why we need, like... This is the frustrating part about dealing with some of these old games. They somehow decide to not have, like, in-game brightness and contrast settings. They were like, you want to adjust brightness? Fucking change your TV, idiot.
What's the matter? You don't have a remote?
Don't know how to access the service menu on your TV, you fucking pleb? Which, funny enough, I actually can access that since I do have the remote for this. I just don't know what all the settings do, so I've not really dug too deep into it.
Oh yeah, I saw a video on it. Coincidentally enough, just before you got one, and the guy talking about it was like, and you can do this, and you can do this, and you can do this, and I was like, that sure is some boxes and numbers. I'm terrified by them.
Yeah. Like there's a reason they call it the service menu, because this was literally something that's only supposed to be accessed by, like, trained servicemen and technicians.
Yeah, it's like full service, as in you can do literally everything you want to.
And it's frustrating, too, because I would like to have a better understanding of what all, like, the stuff you can do with, like, the service menu on a JVC TV can get you. Because if anything could be done to kind of fix, like, the weird aspect ratio issue I have, where, like, it is slightly stretched a bit more vertically than I would like. As well as other things to kind of curb a bit of, like, the overscan on, like, the other parts, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I have a 4K TV. Got it, let's say, about 5 or so years ago. Just round about the point that 4K TVs were actually being a thing. And I managed to get a PS5 over the weekend, which then I got it on Sunday, broke it on Monday. Not sure what happened. Gonna get that sorted out.
Right. Okay.
But it was telling me that my TV didn't have HDR enabled, because we're trying out a couple of 4K Blu-rays just to see, like, is there a significant difference? Isn't there? I don't know. And I went into basically every menu the TV had to offer, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Is this a better picture? Am I just, like, setting it up so it's going to catch fire in 10 minutes? What am I doing?
Well, regardless, hopefully this is the last time I need to do any sort of, like, adjusting. Because I just went into, like, the control panel for my capture card and just maxed out contrast and brightness. It's gonna look kind of weird, I guess, but now, whatever.
Oh, well.
Just to make things more visible, I suppose.
Yeah, it does look a bit washed out now, but if as long as people can see, that's the important thing.
Yeah, especially because it's like the rest of this game takes place at night. Like, there's no more avoiding this.
Yeah.
Also, wow, holy shit, we're like hour 40 minutes in, and we are like at the final part of the war chapter. Fuck, we really are gonna beat this game in less than 3 hours.
Oh, I think I remember this bit.
Oh yeah. I think you also remember, like, the potential movie reference this also leads into.
It's dangerous around here, little girl. I don't think you want to be here.
I think I remember the reveal.
Have you come to rescue me?
What is that?
This is a good bit.
That's the, inverse phase sonar. Very efficient with, oh,
How do you know about that?
school.
I never learned things
Fair
about
enough.
school. Anyway, what is it?
It fires
She's in an
a
advanced
weapon,
class.
I think.
She studied in America.
Teddy Funkin, U-47.
Teddy Funkin.
Continental ballistic.
Continental.
That's pretty good.
A missile.
Yeah, like that one.
The missile only fires during Lent.
Targets only lentils.
Yes.
Don't you
Like
worry,
when
little
Lent
girl.
comes around, you have
I'll
to give
rescue
something
you.
up, and the easiest way is to give up the missiles.
Parents are bound to have some cash.
Or blow it the fuck up.
And there's Conker, as always, being quite the miser, just being like, yeah, I'll help this girl out, not because it's from the bottom of my heart, but maybe because her parents have a lot of cash.
You know, I'm starting to think Conker may be a little unscrupulous.
Yeah, it's almost like he's been going an entire day dealing with, like, all kinds of, like, bullshit, helping solve people's problems. And each of them has gotten progressively worse and worse. That, yeah, maybe I could kind of sympathize with the idea that he's not willing to do any more of this shit unless he's guaranteed money.
Fair.
We already saw him squeeze as much as he could out of the queen bee, because the idiot just let the hive get stolen again.
I mean, is a squirrel not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
No, said the Panther King in the castle. It belongs to me. Now get me my fucking milk.
No, says the king bee. I just want to play with sunflower titties.
No, said the giant caveman. It's all in service of my big boner.
Conker chose something different. He chose a bit of the old ultra-violence.
Yes. Yeah, that's definitely one of the best bits we came up with in a while. Took a bit of pause in between each one just to be like, just to make sure that what we
Just
came
like,
up with was
hang on.
accurate and made sense, and we pretty much nailed it.
Just cut out those bits in the highlight reel, no one will notice.
Yeah, the highlight reel that may or may not happen.
But leave me saying cut those bits in, out of the highlight reel in.
Yeah, whatever. Actually, thinking about it more, it's like, I know I should definitely, like, take the time to actually just get a head start on making some sort of highlight reels of any of my content, be it, like, the streams or even, like, some of the Let's Plays we've done. But I'm thinking I might need to, like, push that plan up a bit, if only just to do a highlight reel for the Devil's Third LP. Because I've been making a big stink about it on Twitter. Just talking a whole lot about the importance of Wanted Dead and how it is secretly Devil's Third 2.
Devil's Fourth.
Yep. Devil's 2/3. Devil's 66 to the 6th.
See, now I'm just picturing this bit where you have, like, the first Mr. Piggles you fight.
Yeah.
Just in black and white, slowed down with, do you remember Aeris's theme from Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah.
Where she dies?
Oh.
Dun dun dun! That playing over as you cut him in half with me going, Mr. Piggles, no!
Especially just because, like, I was, like, rewatching, like, the parts again because I still have the local recordings, and I was just reminded, like, when I got to the end of it, where I was, like, it was in the final video once we reached the credits, and I was explaining how Valhalla, Itagaki, Soleil, all of them after that game came out, they were trying desperately to like keep coming up with any other version of the multiplayer so that it would stick, and just it failed every time. And I made the comment that it's like, I'd be fine with the multiplayer dead if they would just give the single player another chance. And reminding myself that I said those words is just further feeding that feeling of vindication and maybe a bit of an ego I got now. Feeling that I made this happen.
It's kind of like how last time I went to that retro shop, I got a couple of the front mission games.
Yeah.
And literally the day after I posted about them on Twitter, Square's like, oh, by the way, we're bringing back front mission. And it was the games that I bought that they were showing off, and it was like, just so y'all know, you're welcome.
Yeah. You gave them to the shop sent the money over to Square Enix. They were like, oh shit, I guess enough people care now.
We finally have the last $25 needed to fund it.
Yeah. We can fund it,
Crazy.
but we're not going to make it internally. We're just going to give it to those guys that made the Panzer Dragoon remakes. That's fine, right? They totally won't butcher the art style or anything. Hopefully.
I mean, the character designs are one thing, but as long as the mech designs remain weird and boxy, I think we'll be happy.
Yeah, I think there's I think there's no possibility of them fucking up the wands or designs.
Yeah, because I mean, Yoshitaka Amano's art is very much an acquired taste.
Yeah. Plus, the character art in that remake, once we get it, is probably just going to be, like, we're not going to have to worry about them, like, showing us, like, character models of them specifically. Like, it's just portraits.
I would not be surprised if they just essentially went and got high-res scans of the original art and put that in the game.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best
That would be
chance.
the easiest. That would be the easiest and most common sense way of doing it now.
Yeah. Especially just because it's like, I still feel bad for Wrath, my good buddy who's like a Panzer Dragoon fan, and absolutely just hates like what they did with those remakes because of just like visually and musically just completely butchering like the atmosphere of the original.
Yeah, I always forget that they did both games.
Well, they're working on Zwei, that which I'm kind of not looking forward to because I did enjoy what I played of Zwei a lot. But also they recently did that House of the Dead 1 remake, which seemed to be a similar issue of like, man, this visual art style just does not feel like it represents at all like what it originally was supposed to look like. Like, never mind the fact they made it like higher poly counts for all the characters, like color palette and changes the tone so much.
Come on.
It's also the fact that unless they patched it, a lot of the collision detection is absolutely terrible as well.
Yeah, which is like a weird sort of gameplay related issue they also ran into when they were doing Panzer Dragoon. The slow-mo, no! So today in classic movie references, in this Saving Private Ryan spoof, we also have The Exorcist.
I don't have a daughter, so I would be interested to find out.
Yeah. Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yes, so she was telling me.
Surprise!
Giga Teddies.
The little girl was a hand puppet. Oh, yeah. That said, though, I think this is a pretty solid boss fight. It's kind of got shades of, like, the Terminator bots from Barn Boys. Because it has, like, a major weak spot on its back. But this one's fun because we get to go back to using the tank for this.
Yes, Mr. Squirrel.
I was also going to say, like, if that is actually the brain and eyes of a girl
Yeah.
in a gigantic cyborg mutant teddy body, that's really fucking dark.
Yeah.
Even for this game.
Yeah, just making you wonder even more. It's like, God, did they just like make a facsimile of like what a squirrel was based on what the teddies knew about it, or did they literally just take an innocent young gray squirrel girl and just like turned her into that?
Yosef Teddila over here.
Jesus.
Now then, lesson 1, ballistics. This is my minigun.
There are many like it, but this one's mine.
Brass cased 8mm with tungsten.
This is my rifle, this is my gun. This is for hunting, this one goes unused.
Very messy.
Yeah, definitely surprised to no Apocalypse Now gags of any kind. Jesus Christ. The fucking...
Wow.
I was not pressing forward, like, from minute 1, and I paid the price. Good fucking job, game.
Yeah, very true that they didn't even do any of the lines from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, just like none of the other like would have been well-known like war movies at the time. I feel like there could have been. Now I feel like if they used like the like lines from like the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket, I feel like the only place they could have put those would have been for the like the big buff like general dude at the beginning.
Yeah.
But that would have completely, I feel, changed this character because the whole point of showing him is that he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of going for a pattern thing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where their influence was coming from.
Yeah. Anyway, time to do hit and runs. Blow up the miniguns.
Not easy, I'm imagining.
And then we blow up the hand puppet to get out to just fall on the ground.
No, let's keep my cool.
Now run over it.
Nope, we shoot it in the back.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the gist of it. And it's like, yeah, aside from the issue that you saw at the beginning, that very stupid death, it's like you can see how it goes, and like once you figure out like the concept of just running circles around this dude while keeping your cannon trained on it, which you can easily do by just tapping left and right with the C buttons. You almost don't need to worry barely about adjusting the height. Well, maybe sometimes.
I mean, give them credit, they could have made these fights a lot more complicated than they needed to be, but they didn't.
Yeah. But again, you can see what I was talking about, where it's like, this is kind of like Barn Boys-esque, like that boss fight, just because of the big arena, there are like pillars for cover, the weak point is on the back. Like, yeah, this is the high point of the war chapter, I would say. Like, for as much as I have bitched a lot about how absolutely torturous this entire chapter is, like, this part manages to be pretty exciting.
Mark II's this time, however, guided with multiple warheads.
Guided? They don't need heat to lock onto anything.
Yeah, but he's inside the tank, so the only fur on display belongs to her.
Yeah. Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it. You thinking about it? You need to not think about it.
Oh fuck, oh fuck. Get to cover, get to cover.
At least it was the end of the salvo.
Yeah. So, get in there, get in there. Okay, good. And yeah, because this is a tank, if you couldn't tell already, I am technically controlling this with tank controls. I am pressing up on the stick and tapping to the right in order to run circles around this motherfucker.
Yeah, I think that was something that was changed for Live and Reloaded.
Yeah, most likely. Like, the turret would have been, like, fully controlled by, like, just the right stick, and, like, wherever you pushed with the left stick would have just moved you normally. Because, again, we all know about, like, the damage Halo's, like, dual analog control standardization had done for everything. Oh, no. Oh, I've never seen this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just completely missed.
See, I thought it was going to chuck you off the edge of the arena there.
I actually thought he was going to instantly destroy the tank.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's too close. Fuck this.
You're just marginally faster than him.
Okay, this should be enough. Got it. Also, the Big Teddy is making the same pained yelling sound as the big caveman from Ooga Booga. You can kind of see at this point, it's like, between some sound effects and animations, it's like, oh yeah, they're absolutely reusing stuff near the end. In subtle ways, just to get this game out the door.
Yeah.
This is the end.
I mean, reusing sound effects, I don't have a massive problem with.
Yeah. But it's also the sort of thing where, like, I didn't mention it, like, at the time specifically, but the, when you finish the bat section in Spooky and Conker turns back into his normal self, he's making the same animation as when he wakes up with his hangover at the start of the game.
Oh,
That makes sense.
the tank's gone. Well,
It's the high point because it's
served
the
us
end of the
well.
chapter. Well, yeah, it's the penultimate event of the chapter. The actual end of the chapter's after this, and it's where the game gets in one last fuck you.
Oh no,
Bro,
he
no.
didn't make
Oh
it.
no.
He was a great guy. A superb soldier. A military tactician. And yes,
He was really good at hiding.
Like the
That's
rest of us.
tactics, technically.
Yeah.
But at least we showed that bitch who's boss.
Hell yeah.
Mr. Squirrel.
I imagine that's probably taken from a war movie, but I have no idea what
For the
one.
little girl things. Ooh,
Okay, here we go. Time for the final fuck you of the war
something
chapter.
poetic. Ooh,
Resident Evil escape sequence, bitches!
Oh, fuck off.
Fortunately, the countdown isn't actually counting down during the cutscene.
So better than a Resident Evil escape sequence then.
Yeah, but it's gonna cancel itself out eventually once you saw what we have to go back through.
Self-destruct. Oh, give me strength.
Yeah, even Conker's not looking forward to it. I don't blame him. Here we go. Hey, guess what's back?
Oh.
Yeah,
Rare, why do you hate people?
because it gives the game value.
Value is what? A torture device?
Something like that. The definition's a bit fuzzy in some instances.
A couple.
Alright.
This reminds me of some of the boat section in Deus Ex.
Oh, right. The original with like the big super boat carrier thing.
Yeah, where like there's an entire area that's nothing but toxic fumes and trip mines.
Right. Yeah. That was brutal.
Yeah, did not like that bit. Thankfully, it was only like 2 rooms. Big rooms, but just 2 of them.
All right. There we go. God, I can't believe I'm handling these first sets just fine. It's almost like I died on these dozens of times in my test run before this stream.
Weird.
Yeah. This is why there was no shame in actually practicing the shit that you're going to play in front of a live audience.
I don't know, I mean, like, it's one thing saying, yeah, I'm doing this blind, but if you're showing off a game, then, yeah, like, I can practice that.
Exactly. I mean, when it came to the perfect run in Galaxy 2, obviously I didn't want to, like, do something that would automatically, like, fuck up, like, my save progress or anything like that. So what I ended up doing was, like, I just watched videos of the final star and just tried to remember, like, what sort of strategies there were. Now, here's something that sucks big time, because for arbitrary reasons, we only get a bazooka to use.
As opposed to
The machine guns.
Pixies, which would be far better.
Yeah, because at least we could, like, move semi-fast in aim mode. Oh, well, that worked. Actually, this is good, because this means once we pass that door, we hit a checkpoint.
Fair enough.
And this last part's gonna kill us. I'm positive. Multiple times. Because
So we're running down the beach again?
yeah, but there's a bunch of teddies, and they all have rocket launchers, and if they hit you, like, dead on, it's instant death. So there are two ways to do with this. Either we inch forward and try to snipe all of these teddies with our own bazooka, with the already incredibly swimmy aiming controls, or we be big coward and hope to God that we can just run past everything.
Fucking book it, man.
Yeah, I think this might actually be what was intended at the end of the day. Like, fuck doing that other thing. God, please, 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 stop! Camera, you do not need to look towards the bunker. Fucker. Oh, he blew himself up. That's fine, I'll take it. Oh, fuck, I didn't actually die. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck.
And while the game was chugging like a brick smoothie.
Oh, my God.
Oh my Gideon! Snipers!
Actually providing me support.
Out of here now! Come on!
Better late than never.
No! We gotta get our asses out of here!
Oh, my
now.
God.
Let's move it!
So yeah, I guess once we get back to the hub, I think one thing I'm going to do is, like, I'm going to pause just to see how many lives we have left, because I'm positive that it's, like,
I made it.
there are no squirrel tail pickups in this entire chapter, so I think we'll get an accurate count of how many times in total I died.
I think you'll probably have about 46, 45 left.
You're awake.
Yeah, that
And you
sounds
haven't
about
picked up
right.
any.
It'll probably be, like, enough deaths that you can count on one hand.
Yeah. I'd say 6 at the absolute most.
Yeah,
But probably 4 or 5.
was a terrible thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You're right there. All these fine young men set off to do the dying.
You sent me off to die with a concussion, you prick.
Pushers.
And now you're complaining about the people that are in charge while you clearly were doing the shit they wanted.
We want to get them now.
Next, you're gonna tell me that this is why we need more diversity in media without actually doing anything about it, like some milquetoast white liberal fuckwad.
Who are they to tell us? Who are they indeed? Look at that.
Too
It
real?
sounds like it's
Probably
something
too real.
from MASH.
Yes,
Yeah, that is probably true, yeah.
yes, it is.
Because that was a show that tended to go on.
The horror.
Okay, tell a lie, Apocalypse Now.
The door got knocked out for a second.
Oh, hey, that armor did work after
Aw.
all.
Yeah. Now I remember. Countdown.
Hopefully that's bomb-proof.
Oh,
I love that even such a dorky, sweet-natured looking guy as Rodent is, even he cannot refrain from just going, oh, shit.
Well, it's going over like black box footage from airplane crashes.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's the most commonly last said word
Oh.
before impact. It's the phrase first you say it, then you do it.
Yeah. Yep, Rodent made it. He got an expressway back home via explosion. Oh, God bless him. Oh, hey, we are at 45, so we did just only lose 5.
Hey, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, considering the amount of times I died practicing this before, yeah, that's a market improvement. I'll take it. Once again, like, no shame in doing actual practice for a game that you know is going to give you a hard time at points on stream. Alright. Lost 6, you were at 51. Oh, shit, okay. Which, yeah, I guess that makes sense then. Oh well, it's fine. Anyway, we're back at Windy and... Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah,
Man, did we miss the Scourging of the Shire?
Well, there's the crown. I could take it for myself, but eh. Yeah, this...
Heavy is the head that's rolling down the hill from the crown.
I just, Like, it just reminds you of the last interaction you had with the Queen Bee, where it's like, well, I hope that's the last of anything bad we have to deal with. What's the worst that could happen? Here's to a wonderful year. She's dead now.
Turns out.
So now we gotta go back up to the windmill. Because, yeah, it's completely broken. Something crashed into it.
Oh no! Where did the windmill go? I was sure that was the final level. Oh well, probably not.
That's because the entire windmill was a holdover from when this was 12 Tales. Like, this hub idea was, like, something that carried over, and I'm pretty sure the idea was, like, eventually, once you did all your tasks to get to the final level, you would enter the windmill.
I was flying through the air.
So, yeah, good on them. Keeping in line with how the rest of this game is in subverting your expectations and just going, no, fuck you, we're not doing that.
No, none of that.
Yep, rodent collided with a windmill that caused collateral damage, thus annihilating an entire bee kingdom.
They were all dicks anyway.
I will.
Yeah.
Catch you later.
Catch you later. Buy me a pint.
Okay. Conker. Can I
Alright.
just say something?
I'm actually
Well,
gonna...
cheeks.
It depends what it is.
Sorry, I'm actually going back into, like, the
Privilege.
video configuration for, like, the capture card. I'm just gonna, like,
Has to say.
put these back down to, I think, like, brightness and contrast back to, like, half of what they're supposed to be. Just,
With you.
because I don't think, while the rest of the areas still
Very
have
nice
some
of you.
dark bits to it, I don't think they're so dark I need to wash out all the bright colors.
Thank you, soldier. Dismiss.
Yeah, maybe that'll help, I'm not sure.
Idiot.
Yeah, Conker is that kind of guy where it's like, even if he acknowledges, yeah, he's a friend, he'll still kind of say, ugh. Kind of annoying, though.
He's a friend, but I don't actually like him that much.
Yeah, it's just a convenience thing. Anyway, time for the final chapter.
Whoa.
Oh, and it's this asshole.
Thought I told you to leave town. But seeing as you're here, anyways, me have a little job for you.
Oh, not another one. Look, can I just go home, please?
I
Yeah,
said
he's just about done
we
with
may
all of
have
this.
A little
There.
job. Take it or leave it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Take it.
See ya.
Yeah, he's at fault, but he doesn't try to be, is the thing. He just fucks up unintentionally.
Fancy meeting you.
Oh, hey,
here.
Barry.
Oh, Barry. You look great.
Hey, and her third appearance of the game.
Yeah, it's,
You said you didn't know this guy.
Oh,
I didn't know your
I
role
am.
model was
She's like
Carrie
my
Ann Moss.
boyfriend.
Yeah, that's right. I'm her boyfriend.
Barry Ann Moss?
Am I interrupting something here?
Good one.
Yeah, that wasn't one of my better ones.
Lovebirds are finished with your reunion Tata.
I also love
Maybe we
Conker
can get
just
on with the
rolling
job
along
at
with
hand,
going, yeah,
please?
I'm her boyfriend.
Okay. What do you want to...
Like, not even an implication of, oh yeah, she's mine.
Just your little escapade.
Which, to be honest, I think that says that shows who's the bigger man
Now
in
I
a
need to
situation.
replenish my funds. Here we
Or he's just afraid that she could literally dribble him like a basketball.
Yeah.
bank.
I know what I would be more afraid of.
Okay.
I know what I'd be
But
more
I'll do
into.
it
Wait.
On one condition only.
You know, fear.
What?
That I get an
Flip
outfit
side of the coin, really.
just as cool
Yeah.
as
Scarousal.
Fear, boner, fear, boner.
And there we go.
Yes. Again, I was also wondering how we got to this point, and
Yeah.
it's literally just, hey, let's do a Matrix parody. Okay, cool.
And also, because you recognize this bridge, the one we tried to cross and broke one of the planks, with all the signs on the
Yep.
other side saying, feck off. Like, that was their way of telling you, this was the actual final level. No, you can't go here yet. Piss off. Yep. Alright. Time to start this with another instance of Robin Beanland flexing his MIDI composing talents.
Do we get a version of Spy Break?
Yeah, it's like obviously his like their legally distinct version of like the lobby shootout music. But also you'll see like because this is MIDI obviously and he has a lot of channels to work with and it's a Matrix parody with slow-mo being replicated. The like that's getting that's gonna impact how the music plays if you pay close attention.
Please place any metallic objects in the tray.
Holy shit! Now this scene is definitely worse in Live and Reloaded because the way they changed up the SMGs in that game was that they switched Conker from dual-wielding them to only having one.
I can miss the point.
Yeah, which it makes enough sense in the war chapter because he also has the army fatigues, but it ruins the parody aspect of this, you know?
Yeah.
Because you remember what Keanu does once. Oh,
he dual wields that entire fight when he's not using a shotgun.
Yeah. So here we go. This is how we activate the slow-mo. And you can hear channels of the theme fade in and out.
Yeah, that's pretty clever.
Yeah. Very Matrix-like. And this is an infinitely more pleasurable shooting gallery sequence than any of the Teddy encounters in the war. Because we don't have to move forward. We can just stay behind the pillars and just do our best to, like, shoot these guys before their bullets have a random chance of hitting us.
I mean, it's also a better Matrix game than Enter the Matrix.
Oh, yeah. I think there was some comment from one of the developers just talking about how, like, they saw, like, the Enter the Matrix game, like, years after they put this out, and just how the quality of that one was, combined with the amount of money they were given to work with for the license. And I think the implication was like, oh, yeah, we clearly could have done a better Matrix game than them, and we didn't even have the license. Because parody laws are the best things, assuming that you aren't beholden to a publisher who is scared at the idea that people might not respect parody laws. Which, you know, there are definitely some companies out there that do not respect them regardless.
Oh, like Nintendo. Ironically.
Well, that's the ironic part. They were totally fine with this. They had to greenlight most of this shit to begin with.
Oh, no, but you see, when we do it...
Yeah. Right, yeah. But yeah, it's the sort of thing where it does tie in... Oh, thanks for the hydrate routine, Ben.
Drinky.
Oh yeah, definitely needed that.
I mean, I've been drinking this entire time. But...
Yeah. I kind of had to keep I didn't have much opportunities to get any drinks in, just because it's like I'm so focused on staying alive. Up. Here it is. Just get our checklist out of Matrix moments to parody. Also, I love that Conker just puts his fingers on the ground to help him with the fucking backflip. That's definitely something.
And then leaps over.
That's definitely something Neo didn't do. You know, like he did that particular like bend backwards, and he fell ass onto the ground.
Yeah. Certainly didn't do an acrobatic fucking pirouette off the ground.
Yeah.
So technically, I guess that means that Neo is inferior to a squirrel.
Yeah, weird how that works out.
Also, listening to the music, do you remember the movie version of Lost in Space?
I remember that there was a movie based on Lost in Space, but I never saw it, so I have no idea.
The best thing about it was the theme was done by Apollo 440, who did a sort of semi-drum and bass version of the theme.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I swear they're using the exact same samples for it.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't be surprised. This 2001, but it's still like early enough that like some of those 90s sensibilities in like music are clearly in effect.
Oh yeah.
There There we go. There is obviously as well like one more scene that we gotta trigger that again fills our Matrix parody quota. Because Matrix parodies just got the... I mean, it obviously made sense that it didn't happen again when Matrix Resurrections came out, but I love that people had to bring up, like, the sort of internet history lesson for people of just how fucking everywhere parodies of, like, scenes from The Matrix were in literally everything.
I mean, Matrix parodies were practically their own genre.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Here it is.
Oh. You know, I was going to say it was either that or it was the Dodge This.
I wish that they had Dodge This in here. Like, you get to the elevator and just the weasel has Conker on the ropes. And then they just recreate that angle with Barry.
Like, Dodge This.
Yeah, final check off the list for Matrix. Just the show in the lobby after it gets all fucked up. Though admittedly not nearly as bad as it was in the movie.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
A whole lot more dust clouds.
Yeah. See, now I kind of want to go back and watch the making of documentary for The Matrix, just for how they did the lobby fight.
I need to watch that. I don't think I've ever seen that making of feature before.
Speaking of which...
That was, well, like, if you remember when the DVD for The Matrix came out, it was, like, a really big deal, because they were like, hey, look at all the cool things we can do on DVD.
Yeah.
And I believe the Blu-ray has even more stuff on it. But
wow.
The DVD had, like, an entire,
Well, there you go.
let's say something like 20, 25 minute making of just on the lobby fight. Showing how they... I think it might have been everything from the lobby fight up to the helicopter rescue. But I remember the stuff about the lobby fight. Like the bit in the fight where Keanu like crashes into the column and falls over. That was actually a mistake that made it into the movie. They were like, well, it looks realistic, so let's just go with it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So this is our final reward for going through all of this bullshit in the game. The ultimate monetary reward that Conker gets.
Tons o' muns.
Sometime later.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
Finally, got it.
And what do we got?
I would... Holy shit.
Cool.
Yep. A millionaire. Back when the idea of being one into, like in the turn of the millennium seemed like the best thing ever. Like the ultimate goal.
Also, back when a million meant something.
Yeah. Here we go. Even more...
Who's this guy?
More movie parodies and homages. Just... everything else they could think to get out of the way, they just get him out right in this final bit.
I mean, he hasn't made an appearance since like the first third of the game, but you know, let's bring him back for old time's sake.
Yeah, with a bit of Emperor Palpatine style intro.
Yep.
I don't recognize this guy.
You haven't met him yet.
The fabled Panther King. But he was just in stories like my mom used to tell me to get me to sleep.
So yeah, somehow this big cat is a monarch that most people don't even think is real.
Who are you calling a furry?
No, as in like furry, as in ephemeral, like a...
The way they pronounce it definitely does make it sound like they're saying furry, which makes it extra funny, because it's like, why would you question whether or not you're furry? You're an animal. You're a cat.
An anthropomorphic one. That's like the textbook definition.
Jesus.
Right here, boss. Your bounty.
There it is.
Thank you very much. What are we gonna do with him?
You leave him to me.
You're not
Yep.
gonna kill him?
Double-crossed. Who could have seen
Not
it?
exactly.
Step aside, Conker. I know how to deal with men like this.
Hey, but this is still a Nintendo game.
Misplaced.
You're right, so we're gonna do something else that is equally fucked up.
Easiest thing in the world. Sorry, dollface. Business is business. Adios.
Yeah.
The Matrix, as directed by Sam Peckinpah.
Harry?
It's directed by Sam Peckinpah. Just thinking of getting that fucking Monty Python sketch with like the dude just
Sam Peckinpah's Salad Days.
yeah, salad days. And just the dude just like constantly sniffling. That eventually like the person behind the camera just gets fed up and just shoots
Feeling
him.
alright?
Bit of indigestion.
Oh, I can sympathize with that.
You sure that's yeah? You sure you haven't gone lactose intolerant in the last 24 hours?
Oh no,
No, I was
I'm
asking
much-
that to the cat. I was asking that to the Panther King.
Get
Because I was going to say I'm definitely high on the intolerance, but not the lactose.
Yeah.
the sooner I'll get my
Milk isn't really gonna help you much in this situation, I think. Come on, man.
getting less.
Ah, yes,
Yeah,
that's right, my Lisa.
Yeah, we all can tell what this is gonna lead up to.
Really, yes. Ah, well, you don't look so good. Let's see now. Milk. Yes.
Oh, the chest pains. They are beginning.
Problem with everything.
That's criminal.
It is gestating.
With me.
What's going
No,
on?
little square boy, don't go into the weed cave. Oh my god, this cave is full of bloat and smoking. No!
What's going on here? But I think it's a shame.
9! Wait, come on, there's no need to call the police.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Oh. Fiddle got it as my teddies.
Oh yeah, he was responsible for those.
To my plans is
Of course.
picture.
Don't think that was ever in any doubt.
Yeah.
That is just about complete.
Yeah, so we can literally pin the Skrull versus Teddy's war on him as his way of trying to eventually build up enough strength to overthrow the king. But since that didn't work, fell back on plan B, in which he dies anyway via chestburster. Which is somehow a full-grown alien.
Of course.
I will say, it's like, obviously this took, like this thing was, that this creature that it's a parody of came out years before the movie in question, but the way that the cylindrical head is also somewhat, like, cone-like at the end, it really does remind me of that awful-looking, like, proto-xenomorph that they tease at the end of Prometheus.
They call it something like the bishop or the monarch one.
Yeah, something real pretentious
Yeah.
sounding like that.
Yeah. Like I said, just I like to pretend that Prometheus and Covenant don't happen because everyone involved in those stories needs to act like they have no brain whatsoever in order for them to make sense.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing about it.
Yeah, it's what they call an idiot plot, and that everyone has to be an idiot for the plot to make
Yeah.
sense.
The only one that's not an idiot is David.
Hmm. And that's just because he's too busy twirling his imaginary mustache.
Yeah. And also not being a real human.
No, because he wants to be better than humans, despite the fact that everything he does is derivative of the engineers.
Hmm.
It's like, the annoying thing is they are so close to having like an interesting moral quandary / plot point there,
Yeah.
and they just never touch it once.
I mean, I've even, like, brought it up before, but just, like, the way they like the path they land on as far as explaining like how the evolution of the xenomorph leads to like the sort of not just the one that we know of from the original movie, but how Weyland-Yutani would have even known about it in the first place, like, makes enough sense to me. Like, I'm not even that upset by it. Again, it's all completely undone by the fact that every cast member is part of an idiot parade.
Yeah, I would... Of course. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, and Cell brings up the other thing that is, like, still frustrating every time we're thinking about Prometheus was the whole point that, like, it was also trying to, like at one point was not even supposed to be related to the Alien series. Like, it initially started as being a prequel, then decided it wasn't going to be, and then decided to be both and just half-assed both ends of the equation.
Yep, they kept going back and forth over it so long that by the time someone just finally pinned Ridley Scott down and said, right, what the fuck is this movie that we're making? It was too late to make it cohesive one way or the other. So, as you say, it just winds up being half of nothing.
So here we go. The final challenge of the game.
So long, Alien!
Yep. So long, Xeno! There we go.
Whee!
Oh, but it's a boss fight. That means we gotta do it 3 times.
Oh, god damn it.
Alright, come on. Oh shit, I forgot which button I had to press to block. Damn it. Whatever.
Also, you had like 1 hit left after the previous chapter.
That's true. That's true. Whatever. This isn't a bad boss fight, all things considered. It's a bit confusing if you don't know exactly, like, how best to respond to things. Like, if he's gonna lunge to bite you, you gotta press Z to block. If he's getting ready to wind up his tail for a swing, you gotta press A. And then once you've successfully done that, you gotta get, like, a melee combo in with the B button. It's simple. It works. They don't tell you the controls. You just kind of have to figure it out.
Yeah, I was going to say, suddenly giving you a block button out of nowhere. Like, okay.
Alien's Fireteam Elite actually does well in melding the 2 cannons in a way that actually makes sense. I'm genuinely curious how that, what that is, because admittedly I've not paid much attention to Fireteam Elite. I've heard that like it was received decently enough as like a, you know, like basically like a third-person Left 4 Dead clone, but with Xenos.
Yeah, it's because it came out. Well, before it came out, everyone was like, "Well, we've got bad memories of both colonial marines, and predator hunting grounds, so no one is expecting anything from this." And people were like, it's not terrible. Like, it's not worth full price if you get it on sale for like $20, then fantastic.
But it somehow did well enough that I guess it's now getting like an expansion.
Yeah, it's getting DLC. I think it's already had some like additional characters or skins or something.
Yeah.
Like, mostly cosmetic stuff. But yeah, I'm surprised. Well, as I said, I obviously haven't played it and I don't know that much about it, but I'm surprised that it's done well enough.
Yeah.
But like I said, no one had any expectations for it, so great.
Okay. I guess according to Cell, the short answer is that there are 2 different things. Aliens are aliens. The mutation goo is a stored bioweapon that mutates really well, and never the twain have met. That's basically the idea. They decided to just make it. That's how they acknowledge both without going the direction that Prometheus wanted, where it was like the alien goo led to the xenomorphs somehow.
I mean, if they're going with A is A, B is B, and they're oddly similarly related, then I guess that's okay. I mean, it's better than anything Covenant did.
Yeah, like at that point, that's like a more respectable way to handle canon than something that feels like really reactionary or hacky in a way that is just like, we're just gonna act like this never happened, or completely retcon it, like act like Hicks totally was alive at the and just not present in Alien 3 because he left the body double, which just feels like
no, not even a body double. It was just some random Weyland-Yutani merc who wound up in his pod.
yeah, just the
Just like, yeah, that was totally always a thing in David Fincher's original vision. Sure.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I get it. There's already a lot of real bad dumb shit with Colonial Marines plot as is, but it's like, but if like the idea is that you're somehow thinking that just making what you thought was the death of a character no longer non-canon, like that's not genius or anything. That is literally like just fanboys just trying to make something change something they didn't like without any further thought behind the consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally for going like, okay, let's bullshit a reason as to why this happened. You know, that's a fun exercise. No one takes it seriously. That's great.
Oh yeah, and
But...
C, the part C of it is sometimes they're found in the same area in Weyland-Yutani, and its corporate descendants are poking at dangerous things as usual. So yeah, that's the, of course, because they always have to be involved.
See, now I kind of want to see like Weyland-Yutani picking up the puzzle box from Hellraiser, just trying to weaponize hell.
Oh God.
Because there's no way in hell that would go wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah. You have my sympathy for having to like stream through Colonial Marines, man.
Yeah, I managed to get the collector's edition, like because the collector's edition came with this admittedly very cool statue and some patches and stuff when it came up.
Yeah.
When it came out. But it was like the game was like 40 and the collector's edition was like 100 or so. I got it like 4 months after the game came out for 20. Still got it. It's a really nice statue.
Help me out with this guy here. What do you think?
This ending is legendary.
Now,
Yeah.
Just
get rid of this background.
and it's funny too because I told the story about how like there was a like they failed law check at the last minute because of one of Japan's tests is to have the game just run for 24 hours straight, like regardless of whatever progress is made, and see if things still break afterwards. And then it broke. Broke at like hour 23 and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and again, that was law check, so there had to have been like some funny coincidence behind the idea that they failed law check at the last minute in a game where they have an ending in which there's a fatal bug that prevents the end of the game from happening.
Back to say the phone.
Co-commentators got to suffer through the game more than you did. Fair enough.
Let's see. Okay, let's get into position. Steady.
Also, that weapon rack was technically the last Matrix reference we got in this.
On my mark, not a moment sooner. 3, 2.
But yeah, it's also important to note. Yeah, we did it. Gameplay's done. We beat Conker's bad fur day. And off goes its head. And oh god.
No.
Hope there's no important rooms or servant quarters or anything below that carpet.
Well, I suppose that's it. Anything else?
That's okay. It's self-cleaning.
Yeah. One of the comments was, they sound like you have a gun to their head for this. Well, ...
How you doing, Mr. Screw? You have defeated the evil panther-type king.
Hey, all the buddies we met along the way are showing back up.
In fact,
The real $1 million was all the friends we made along the way. And also the $1 million.
Yes,
Come on,
especially the $1 million.
About to throw you.
What? But no, you don't understand. I don't really want to be king. Oh no, I forgot to. I should have brought Barry back to life. Oh no.
You donkey.
Yeah, you were you were still quite preoccupied with doing the things that you thought would have been cool and fun to do.
And the rest of the guys.
I mean, I'm gonna say when you're being faced with an alien queen, you can be forgiven for thinking about your priorities.
Yeah,
Oh, King.
but yeah, I think what's
You couldn't be king
as it gets
of a
closer to the
toilet.
credits,
Yeah, King of a toilet.
this
You don't know
God,
how
this
close you
ending
are.
it
You realize
just
that?
ruined so many people.
Sure.
It sure as hell
Yeah.
ruined me.
I remember when the game came out, people were like, I absolutely loved the game except for like the last 10 minutes.
Oh,
And
no.
where it felt like Rare was
Of
kicking
all the
me in the
people in
face
the
and
world
laughing
that I
at me
don't
for
like,
enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm in a room full of
Admittedly, I like it because it makes me feel pain. It's the Yoko Taro effect.
just to
I mean,
celebrate.
it's when you get down to it, it's an incredibly mean-spirited game. This is the only way it could end.
Yeah.
There we go.
Like this is the end result of an irresponsible red squirrel just getting into misadventures and extorting money where he can for his services.
Yeah, you started off getting absolutely blackout drunk. You get as much money as you can from idiots. Literally, his only guiding principle is greed.
Yeah. Greed and wanting to get home. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
even his home that he associates most with is now replaced with this. So this next scene that it cuts to, there's obviously more dialogue, but there's no text bubble, so I'm just gonna ask for a moment of silence. Let this one sink in.
So, there I am. King. King of all the land. And who'd have thought that? Not me. I guess you know who these guys are now? 'Cause I certainly do. I don't want to know them. And yep, I may be king. I have all the money in the world. And all the land. And all that stuff. But you know, I don't really think I want it. I just want to go home. With Barry. And, I don't know, have a bottle of beer. It's not gonna happen. It's true what they say. The grass is always greener. And you don't really know what it is you have until it's gone. Gone. Gone.
This is not an exit.
You know, his confessions have meant nothing.
I know there's no explicit American Psycho reference in this, but especially after watching that movie in recent years, it's like, no, I can't help but just substitute that as the end. We began with Clockwork Orange, and we ended with American Psycho. Just, God, what a fucking gut punch, man. And it makes enough sense. It's why I love it, just because, again, as we've discussed, like, all of the antics we've gotten up to are just so absolutely crude and irresponsible.
Yeah, it's also the fact that the entire game runs on cartoon logic.
Yeah.
No questions about it. Like, yes, characters die, but it's never the important ones, and everyone just explodes into meaty chunks, and oh ho ho, it's all very funny. And then all of a sudden they go, oh yeah, by the way, fucking consequences.
Yeah, they still exist in this world somehow.
Yeah.
It's real fucked.
Just because you can warp reality doesn't mean you're immune to it.
Mm-hmm. Unless, of course, they wanted to lean into that for, like, a potential sequel. And Conker doing desperately everything he can to get back the person he loves.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly open enough for there to be, I don't know, like 10 years down the line, Conker's still sitting there on the throne, drinking milk, hating everyone around him.
Yeah, which, so I guess I might as well get this out of the way now that it's the opportune time to talk about it. Two things, actually. One, we are going to get an open, like an after credits sequence, but the original one that they wanted to come up with was one that was even more dark than what we witnessed, just basically Conker becoming so depressed that he commits suicide. Like he goes
That's
into
right.
he goes into the bathroom of the Cock and Plucker, loads a gun, and it just fades to black right before he pulls the trigger. But they decided, no, that's too dark, because I guess they decided that, what? We know that we ended this on a really dark note, but we still kind of want to do a sequel. Which led to the concept of Conker's Other Bad Day. The idea, how it would have started, was that, again, like, it would start with a kind of a similar, like, preview of the end, like this did, where instead of Conker being the king of all the land, he's the king of the universe. And showing, how did I get here? Well, here's what happened. It was another bad day. And it starts with him being so drunk that he wastes away all of the treasury's funds. Everything in the kingdom is going to shit. He is not doing anything to fix it. That everyone in the castle and the kingdom revolts against him and throws him in the dungeon, like in their version of the Tower of London. So he has to break out of there with the with like a ball and chain still attached to his ankles, and then figure out a way to like get his life back together. And all kinds of crazy shit would have happened. Like Birdie, the scarecrow, would have died. The Greg would have been back, but there would be a bit more of a backstory behind how he ended up as the Grim Reaper. Barry would have been back, but not in the form that you would expect, because she would show up as like a Terminator robot from the future designed to kill Conker.
Of course.
And best of all, there would have been a reprise of the Great Mighty Pooh concept, but instead of it being a poo monster in the middle of a dung, at the bottom of a dung mountain, it would have been like a poo-based elder god. It was called Cthulhu.
Of course.
There you go.
Whoa.
And then
Either that or Gnarl Poo thought it.
Yeah, but the idea is that, yeah, it would eventually lead back to what it teases at the beginning, where he keeps failing himself upwards, still somehow has Barry back, I think. Actually, I forget if that was a part of it. It would have still ended on a bittersweet note, with him completely failing upwards into being like the Grand Emperor of the known fucking universe. It sounds funny. I probably would have been all for it, but considering the direction that and the turmoil that Rare had basically gone through after this, considering they got bought by Microsoft, I was like, part of me, especially after finishing this, was like, I kind of wish they went with that original ending of him just killing himself, and this game was a one-off. As you know, as fucked up as it sounds for me to say that I would have liked it if the character committed suicide. But it's kind of more preferable to, like, the other ways they tried to, like, still utilize Conker as an IP when under Microsoft. It never went anywhere.
I mean, that post-credit sequence, what does it really add?
None. It's just, like, he's
still getting drunk. Okay, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's just now you have a different context behind it, where now it's like his life is in shambles now that he's lost his girlfriend. He kind of doesn't care if he's gonna get pissed out drunk and repeat this whole process all over again.
Yeah, but by the same token, you know, this is still a Nintendo game. There are some things they would never allow, and they managed to get away with buttloads in this. But I think at the end of the day, there was no way in hell they were going to be allowed to do that. It was really just wishful thinking.
Yeah, but obviously thinking about it more, especially because a lot of the info I have now about it came out, especially in the wake of Rare Replay, because that was, you know, that was not just a compilation of games from Rare's history, it was also a lot of history lessons.
Yeah, that's right.
And, like, just thinking about it more, I was like, okay, if Rare had been allowed to stick with Nintendo for a few more years, at least through the end of the GameCube, I think that would have been really, like, that was the best opportunity they could have gotten to get the sequel greenlit. Because Microsoft wasn't interested in it, and they shot down their ideas of, like, greatly expanding and changing a lot of the game in Live and Reloaded, primarily because of what we were talking about, parody laws, and how some people choose to respect them as opposed to not, and some choose to err on the side of caution and not actually engage with it. Microsoft basically said that it's like, I think like the way it was described, like Chris Marlowe basically said that they were told by Microsoft as a suggestion that if you remake this game with the explicit intention of changing up a lot of things and adding a bunch of new parodies, that's going to open up this game to like a new reevaluation over parity laws, because at this point, the N64 game already came out. It was established. You look at it and like everything's set in stone that you can't really. It makes no sense for anyone to go back and try to sue people over it. If they put out a new game that adds...
It was okay like 5 years ago. Why isn't it okay now?
Yeah, and even then, it's like with that explanation they were given, I still kind of put it into question because they still gave Conker a fucking Van Helsing outfit in the Spooky chapter. Like they leaned into that just a tiny bit more. So it's like, why would it have even matter? Like, again, just the sort of thing where like. Fucking Microsoft getting this developer whose games had like a better impact on people that were owners of Nintendo systems more than their newfangled console that they were still trying to figure out how to run as a business.
I think, like having heard all the stories about Microsoft's mismanagement of Rare over the years, I think, in all honesty, the only reason they bought Rare was simply so they could snipe one of Nintendo's big developers out from under them, because like they didn't let them do anything. They released.
They were very like. Quick to just shut down a whole lot of ideas that they had brewing for like game concepts because they just wanted to impose the more standard Microsoft management approach to how the company operated, which was not how Rare worked. They were just a bunch of people in effectively their own individual silos and were told to just go loose and like just make whatever they wanted, but don't worry about what other people in the industry are doing, and especially don't worry about what other people in the other barns are doing, unless your game is failing to get anywhere, in which case you're allowed to look at others for inspiration, like Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah. I mean, Rare were a small company that had been around since the mid-'80s, and you look at the credits list for this, and if you don't include, like, the Nintendo names, you see the same 20, 30 names over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So, even at this point when game budgets and game development teams were starting to balloon, they were still like, no, we can still do all this shit with like 30 guys. And Microsoft is the exact polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
So there was no way that was ever going to work. Nintendo were like, okay, these guys have a system that works.
Yeah.
They put out the 4 or 5 biggest titles for the N64, the biggest selling non-first party titles on our platform. But we're not going to fuck with a system that works.
Yeah.
And if they say, okay, we want to do we've done like 2-3 platformers in a row, now we want to do a kart racing game. Okay, we've done that, we'll put out another platformer. Now we want to do another shooting game in the vein of the first big must-have title for the console that was Mario. Okay, go ahead and do that. Then they go over to Microsoft and they go, right, we want to do Perfect Dark 2. People have been clamoring for this for like 5 years at this point. We want to do this and we want to do it right. We want to do a big budget game with like what you guys have been doing with Halo. We want to do that, but for our IP. What do you mean no?
Alright, fine, we'll do a prequel instead. What do you mean you're not giving us the time and budget? What do you mean it has to be a launch title?
What do you mean we've got like a year and a half to make it in? Oh, you're being serious.
You shot down every one of our other ideas, but you somehow let Grab by the Ghoulies slip by. At least to Rare's credit, I do appreciate them, like, having that game be as their go-to punching bag whenever they talk about, like, major flops in the company's history.
What's that bit when the King of Games says in Nuts and Bolts? It's like, yes, they're all coming back. Conker, Saberwolf, Killer Instinct. Not Grabbed by the Ghoulies, though.
Yeah.
Never Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
Yeah, there's a level in that game where it's like you just see a gigantic trash bin and it's filled to the brim with copies of Ghoulies.
I mean, the game is literally named after a euphemism for grabbing someone by the junk.
Yeah. And of course,
Ghoulies
Microsoft
in
would,
this case-
would never have understood that.
No.
Like,
Ghoulies in this case spelled G-O-O.
yeah.
Yes.
Which, oh god, speaking of things that Microsoft wouldn't understand or even allow, is like, I never actually, I think, brought this up, but like, one of the other things that got shot down as far as like additions to make to Live and Reloaded was like a joke in Barn Boys. Like when you're, basically when you're dealing with the first task, you know, Marvin the Mouse, you have to feed him cheese, and you go up to the, to the gate that's manned by that block named Bert, whose entire existence is to just be like, all right, I'll open the gate and I'll let you do whatever you want. Seriously, that's all you do? They were gonna make the gate its own character, named Bill. And he was gonna be complaining all the time about how much of a state of disrepair his barn is because people keep throwing shit through his windows and breaking them. And yeah, as you'd imagine, they wouldn't fucking let it through because it's like no sense of like humor in that front. Because it's like, it's not like the windows themselves were going to be painted the same 4 primary colors as the Windows logo. Like they weren't obviously going to go for that. They're regular fucking barn windows. They're probably just single pane. Like come on. Fucking Nintendo was okay with letting this squirrel chainsaw the N64 logo in half. You could, like they have less of a stick up their ass on these things than you do.
Yeah, again, I think it's less a case of we have a sense of humor about this, more we're willing to give you more leeway than we would others simply because you've got a proven track record.
Yeah.
You know? I think most of what happens in this game is simply because, like, this was obviously, for lack of a better term, a vanity project for them.
Yeah, it had gone on long enough, and just they had to come up with something to make it stand out, and they found a way to make it stand out by taking the most outrageous path possible.
Yeah, I mean, yes, everyone remembers Banjo-Kazooie, but I'd say of all the games they did, this is probably a close second.
Yeah, I mean, for my money, this is like, I still love Banjo-Kazooie a lot. I still have a little bit of fondness for Tooie, even though I think it has a very serious problem of just, it takes interconnectivity in some of its, like, tasks required to get Jiggies just a step too far in some cases. And then obviously we don't talk about DK64.
Because it's an object lesson in suffering.
Yeah, it's just the...
Staying, it
is a monument,
suffering and outstaying your welcome.
It is a monument to turning people off of a single genre of games.
Yeah, every so often I remember that essentially they're like the PS2 N64 era was the last time we ever saw those kind of collectathons in any big way.
Yeah,
and I would not be surprised if it's because everyone looked at Donkey Kong 64 and was like, nah, enough of that.
Yeah.
You made it not fun anymore.
But as it stands, like, I genuinely do think that this is Rare's best game for the system. It may not be the most popular, well-recognized, because, again, this was an M-rated game at the end of its life. Didn't quite have the same penetration as Banjo-Kazooie, of course. But...
And it was one that was barely released and had maybe, like... I mean, I remember the only advertising I ever saw for it was game reviews and articles about it.
Yeah.
It received no support whatsoever.
And adult magazines.
I imagine that it probably showed up in like Maxim and FHM and GQ or whatever back in the day, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like, this is the best to me. This is definitely my favorite of like of their platformers, and it's the sort of thing where where my criteria for liking it is the same for why I like Majora's Mask as my favorite 3D Zelda game, because it is so non-standard to what you expect of the type of game that this company would create.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're both the odd man out.
Mm-hmm. And
like everything else is an established pattern. Like, you know what you're getting into, and then all of a sudden there's this really fucking weird game that does stuff that you have never seen any other game do up to that point.
And before I finish my thought, Cell brings up, I think if you recall, Dazzling Adar's LP of DK64. how that game's best exemplified by her going from, I love this game, to, oh god, it's all a lie, I hate you all.
Yeah, I remember we do reference in GDQ quite a lot, but there was a speedrun of it, 100%, that still took the better part of about 8 hours.
Yeah, and that's like as optimized as you can fucking get with that game.
That's optimized. That's glitching through big chunks of the game.
Jesus.
And and when you get down to it, it's still doing the exact same thing over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And even for a speedrun or a collectathon, it's patently ridiculous how much padding there is in it.
But yeah, with this game, it's like, as you said, it's basically the odd man out of the Rare platformers. If things had worked out differently in the intervening years, I would have loved to have seen Conker's other bad day. But at the same time, I'm like, I still, at this point, am more than fine with just Conker being laid to rest. Like, even with the idea of Rare giving access of their legacy IPs to other developers to make them, because they did that for Killer Instinct. That worked out tremendously well. They gave that to some schmucks to make a Battletoads game, which is, we kind of forget about that.
I have not heard anyone say anything good about the Battletoads game, the reboot.
Yeah. And then there's that Perfect Dark game that's being in development now, which, based on like what stuff has come out from people that left the development of that, seems like it's a complete management clusterfuck, but for a different kind of management issue than Rare was having when they first got bought. I think it's funny thinking about it, where it's like everyone is rightfully like skeptical about like how Microsoft's gonna like treat all of these different developers they keep consolidating, and because they remember how Rare was changed as a result of the acquisition. But it's like based on other things. I think it was like from the developers, someone that worked at the developers for State of Decay, because I think they're Microsoft owned. And like someone like basically like anonymously giving details of what it was like working there, and just realizing that like the management issues they had was basically a result of Microsoft going a complete 180 direction from how they were managing all of their developers starting out, where it was like they're trying to be like way too micromanagey, having all of them do things the Microsoft way. And now it's like, because they have so many studios, because they can't be bothered to like properly build and train a original development team from scratch, they're more like, right, we'll just buy everyone up, we'll give them infinite money, and that's it. Which might as well translate to, we are going to buy you, we're going to give you a house to live in, and we are also giving you an infinite amount of rope to hang yourself with. Because you can't leave.
And then we're going to be really annoyed when you don't come out with any games. But we're going to tell you that all the games that you want to come out with are complete garbage anyway, and we're going to make you go back and come back with something else.
Yeah.
Repeat for the next 15 years.
And we're still going to let shit come out that should have been canceled with everything else, like Crackdown 3. Because we locked ourselves into a corner talking about how much the cloud was going to be an important part of our system. And it had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but, Terry Crews, he's fun.
Yeah, that's probably the only way they were able to justify that game to continue development. It was just to get Terry Crews to keep voicing more lines and keep doing more of those trailers.
Yeah, it started off as an attempt to re-railing the original game, which the original was, decent enough. The sequel also existed.
It was decent enough. It was decent enough in a Zone of the Enders one way, in which you thought, "Oh, this is kind of neat," but I'm here because I want the demo. People were more in it for that Halo 3 beta.
Oh, absolutely. And then the third game came out, and it was like, yeah. Who asked for this?
Yeah.
Oh, literally no one. Gotcha.
Same for the second game, I feel like.
I mean, I was surprised when the third game came out. Or the second game came out, because the original was kind of a cult hit, but cult hits don't get sequels.
Nope. See ya.
So I guess fuckwad as one word causes him to not recognize I just said fuck in the word, so whatever. We're done? I think we're pretty much done. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
But that's good. We're back to a clean slate now. Because, this game's out of the way. I'm taking a well-deserved break from, completing 3D Mario games, which, you know, those are always fun. But you gotta mix things up sometimes. Definitely looking at, like, other stuff to play. I think, so, like, I've also made mention before that because of how it's kind of getting a bit hotter again up here, like, my evening stream slot is basically nuked for the rest of the month, just because I don't want to risk a day where it's like I have to either decide to stream when it is unbearably hot in my room or just skip it entirely. So, next stream's just going to be a Saturday morning one. You know, I might as well take advantage of the days during the hours where, like, it doesn't get too hot yet. And I'm going to be moving back to some just barely retro territory because, yes, the PS3 still counts as retro. Shut up.
It's over 10 years.
Yeah, over 15 years at this point.
Yep.
But it's like
don't remind me.
Kind of thinking like 360 and PS3 both because it's like I kind of have like an wanting to get back into a bit of an action mood. I like a big motivation for why I wanted to get a PS3 again earlier this year and why I eventually got it was that I wanted to play Max Anarchy again. Granted, it's only the single player because jailbreaking the PS3 means I have to stay safe and not go online ever.
Yeah.
I could play the Saboteur on the 360. Man, I forget. Did that game have a fucking PC version? Because if it did, I would be willing to see, like, how many hoops I have to jump through to get that fucking running for the chance of
Oh, it did, my friend.
Oh.
And the PC version comes with all the DLC from the 360 version.
Oh.
So that means you get the nude DLC free of charge.
Oh. But I take it there's other caveats besides that, like, how does it run?
I believe the main caveat is the fact that it is nigh impossible to get officially anymore.
That's no problem for me. I don my pirate hat and walk out the door.
I'm saying nothing. From what I understand, it actually didn't work too badly on the PC. Obviously, it's from that period where they were like, yeah, our priority is the consoles, and if the PC works, then great.
Yeah, just the biggest afterthought, which was terrible to see.
Fucking Activision and EA were just dumping games onto the PC with no thought and no support whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But conceptually, it is an interesting game.
Yeah, I remember like seeing magazine articles about it.
Mess.
Well, yeah, I'm also not surprised if it is just kind of like a bit of a clusterfuck. Also, apparently, Bentar like say that like he actually worked on it in some capacity. I'm extra curious about that.
Oh wow.
Oh,
my condolences.
That does not sound surprising in the least. The fucking disabling multi-core CPU shit, because of course it would be back from that period where like people didn't clue in that the actual way forward for CPU design would be to have multi-threaded cores.
Yeah, like
fucking
I said,
Crisis all over again. Jesus fuck.
Yeah, like I said, they were just like, okay, does it run on the PC? Yes. Does it run well? Who cares?
And it never worked on AMD cards out the gate either. Holy hell.
So that's literally half the entire market.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, like, my laptop's got, like, NVIDIA anyway, so I guess that's no skin off my back. But yeah, I guess just, like, the limiting to only a single core would be an important thing to worry about, which I guess makes sense. I remember having to do that when I was, like, digging through, like, old PC demos, like, in the late 2000s, like, stuff like System Shock 2, for instance, and how it was, like, just dark engine games by themselves prior to any of, like, the mods and source ports and whatever that the community made over time. It was like, that was the only way I could get that demo to run, just to see if I would even like System Shock 2 as a concept. Like, I had to go into Task Manager and all that shit and limit the CPU core to just one.
Oh yeah, there was a period of about 5-6 years or so when technology had progressed so much that it was impossible to get any of the Dark Engine games running on a than modern PC.
Yeah,
You know, if
not
it
until
wasn't-
2012 when we were all blessed by New Dark.
Yep. And, you know, for a long period, people were like, this is one of the best games that no one has ever played. And now everyone knows about it. It's great.
Pandemic Studios was in an NVIDIA shop, so we had all those cards. I begged to test on an AMD card, but it was overruled because there was no time. We used DirectX. It should be fine, right? Right? Oh, you have my belated sympathies on that, Ben. Oh, that sounds rough.
I would like to say I am totally surprised in my most sincere voice ever.
Yeah.
This is it. This is my sincere voice.
But yeah, it just
the words. Yeah, the mid to late, the mid to late tens was just a lawless wasteland when it came to the PC.
Yeah, it just felt like you did not. It was only until like around like PS4 gens started getting up and running that you started to see a bit more developers realize we should probably not treat this other platform like a redheaded stepchild. We're kind of running into issues where all of our console games, despite our best efforts, are running like shit. And people are not having it anymore.
Just going like, you do realize this is hurting our brand, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are people who believe that because one version is bad, all versions are bad. And that word of mouth is going to kill us.
Yeah.
So maybe it's worth spending the extra $50 to get a couple of proper testers on this, or any testers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get a hobo from behind the quick stop if it'll help.
Yeah, just
do something.
Labor issues.
Yep.
But yeah, Max Anarchy is going to be the next game. I'm looking forward to visiting that again. I have no idea which campaign I'm going to start with yet. Either black or white side. I'm not sure. Because I mean, either campaign by itself is like short enough for like a single stream. But like, I'm definitely wanting to get back into that.
A couple of times I've played it, I usually start with dark side.
Yeah, because that's where you start with Jack, and you spend most of the time with the Blacker Baron.
Yeah, I mean, you've got... plus, I think also in the timeline, it is, like... Because I saw a playlist that had, like, everything chronologically, and I think it goes black side, white side, black side, white side.
Yeah, something like that.
So some kind of... Like, there is an actual playlist that makes sense, but...
Yeah.
Like you say, you've got the characters that you recognize right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you've got the Blacker motherfucking Baron.
You could have had a 4870 AMD in the IT shop. I know it because I bought it with a senior producer's credit card. Could have had the system up in 45 minutes, but they just said no. Wow.
Just to check, did the senior producer know? Or is it like easier to ask forgiveness than permission? I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed.
I can only hope that he knew and was like in support of it, even though probably like the rest of the management for the studio just did not care. I don't know. That just sounds like a mess. Oh.
I mean, there's a lot of tales of should we say guerrilla game dev that I've heard over the years. I've known a couple of people that worked in various studios, relatively low-key ones, indie ones mostly. I know I used to know someone that was a translator for Nintendo. They had a couple of interesting stories. Yeah, just some of the stuff, some of the restrictions that you get placed under are not just arbitrary, but completely illogical at times.
Yeah, it just all sounds awful.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, I mean, it's anyone that's worked in any kind of office environment will already know, but it's like you wind up having to deal with someone at some point or another who's like, okay, this is the way things are done. And you go, okay, but I found a better way, or a way that works better for me. We still wind up with the same end result, but you know, this is just a no. This is the way things are done. This is the way things will always be done. And don't you dare fucking try and challenge the system, or you will have to deal with the consequences. And that just keeps going. You cannot talk to anyone in these kind of situations and get anything changed because everyone is afraid to do anything about it.
Yeah, it's so terrible.
Like, bureaucracy is the exact opposite of creativity.
Yeah. Fuck bureaucracy.
Basically.
So look forward to Saturday for more of the good old ultra-violence.
Hey.
And then anything else I could think of for, like, the rest of the month. I might even try and, like, push forward maybe, like, a Sunday stream as well. Just because, again, that's another free day to work with. And I normally don't do Sundays. But I guess it'd be good just to get, like, some, you know, just some Max Anarchy streams back-to-back just to show, like, the full single-player, progression, how that goes, where you play one side and then the other, and then you get red side, which is like the whole, like, the final stage at the end of it that ties it all together. And
I always forget that what the final chapters are called.
Yeah, and the thing is that there are two versions of red side, because the character you play as in red side is based on which side you pick first at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's essentially you have to play each side twice, but in different orders. But I'm only going to decide to... Yeah, I'll probably just do black side first. Because I can't go wrong by Jack Kamen. And then I'll keep figuring out more stuff to do from there. The funny thing is, it's way further up in the chat log, but just looking at it, like, I know, like, Cell brought up, like, the idea of just having me suffer through an R-type game. I mean, I wouldn't mind some
Delta Final or Final 2.
Yeah.
Final 2 is actually not that bad.
Yeah, I was generally thinking that there was one I would most likely play, especially one that could fill for multiple sessions. I would probably pick Final 2.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like, yeah, there's stuff like that. I do want to hook up the 360 again, not just because, again, it's the same gen as PS3, but I've also been getting that Ninja Gaiden 2 itch. Just anything to remind me of how it's like, man, Wanted Dead's coming out. Like, those ex-Team Ninja alumni getting another chance at making Devil's Third happen for real. Like, seriously, this is just... Oh my god, I cannot stop thinking about that fucking game. Like, oh, you have no idea. And the unfortunate thing is that the publisher was supposed to have, like, a thing this past Monday, but I guess they kind of had to postpone it. Probably not anything gameplay related. I think it was something that had to do with that was involving Stephanie Justin, but they were obviously using coded language as part of, like, the tweet, which I think was to imply that, like, I guess she kind of fell a bit under the weather. Oh, maybe COVID, hopefully not COVID. I'm not sure, but they said it would be, like, pushed back by a couple weeks, because the thing with the marketing for Wanted Dead is so weird, because they have, like, obviously the gameplay trailers, and and the last one they put out earlier this month was especially amazing. But they've also had, like, these other side trailers that are related to it, called Vivian's Late Night Chow, in which, so basically Stephanie Justin is a character in the game who, in a prior career, was the host of basically, like, a late-night cooking show. And these trailers are basically, like, live-action, like, cooking show things where, like, she's basically showing how to, like, create certain dishes and whatnot. It's very weird, because when the first one dropped, you looked at it and were like, what does this have to do with the game? And then you find out she is actually a character in the game. She is, like, one of the police, she works at the police the force that you're a part of as a gunsmith, and she is the one holding that big fluffy kitty.
Okay, I'll need to go back and have a look at that.
Yeah, the cat's name is Paws. Yeah, so once we get to Wanted Dead, which will most likely be a Let's Play, because I want to show that in the absolute best quality possible, it'll probably no longer be the continuation of The Legend of Mr. Pickles, but it will be the start of a new legend. The Legend of Mr. Paws.
Legend of Mr. Paws, the Fluffy Baby Chronicles.
Yes. The fluffy, I'm assuming part Maine Coon. Like, it looks...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. the fluffiness combined with the size is like, that is like the biggest cat I have ever seen in a video game, short of like an actual jungle cat.
Or possibly one of the Norwegian forest cats.
That's possible, yeah.
Because they are also big, fluffy motherfuckers.
Yeah, big mother fluffers.
Maine Coons are more well-known and more popular, so it is more likely to be one of those.
Yeah, it's just... Like, that's just the sort of thing where the more I look at it, just the more that gets me excited, because it isn't just, okay, Soleil is being given a second chance to do the single-player concept of Devil's Third. They're also doing it, but, like, with, like, crazy cutscene direction that even includes style changes, like the live-action cooking show. And there's a bit in that last trailer where, like, it goes full anime cutscene as, like, your character's walking into, like a rave, like, nightclub.
Yeah, a little Suda 51-ish.
Yeah, or like, fuck, I forget if this actually was it, because I remember seeing someone make the mention of it, but wasn't there, like, a character, like, in one of the Kill Bills that has that kind of intro, or is, like, as part of, like, his backstory?
Yes. Gogo Yubari.
Gogo Yubari, yeah.
Volume 1.
I
had a whole section done by Madhouse, I think it was.
Right, yeah, okay. Yeah, I was forgetting the last name, like it was Gogo something.
Sorry, not Gogo. It was Oren Ishii. The character was played by... what you call it from Charlie's Angels? Fuck, what's her name?
Oh god, I'm slipping as well on that.
Lucy Liu.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's they have like a 2 or 3 minute segment talking about how I think it was her father was killed. She was a Yakuza princess, and how she worked her way up the chain to become the leader of the Crazy 88.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, not long after that, Go-Go's introduced, so...
Yeah, it's that, and then you also, like, look at, like, interviews from, like, the producer side of it, just talking about, like, what other inspirations have gone into it, and you think, okay, like the simple thought people might have in mind is like, oh, this is like if Quentin Tarantino made Ghost in the Shell. But then they're like, no, this is like if we made like a Hong Kong version of Cyber City Oedo or Dominion Tank Police. They literally name-dropped those two anime, and I was like, oh, they are going hard for like a specific era and style of like OVA, like violent energy that is so well suited to this.
Yeah, are they deliberately targeting me personally? Because it feels like that's a thing that is suddenly occurring.
Yeah, that, like, down to the fact that they describe it as being like a kind of a lo-fi, sci-fi, like, divergent tech path, like, in the timeline, where it's like, what if, like, yeah, this is still the future, but it's like if it was, like, the future as envisioned during the era when VHS was still, like, the main video format. And it magnetic tapes kept getting used as like the main video and storage medium.
Yeah, I've always said that like 80s and 90s cyberpunk anime and manga in particular has a very unique feel to it that you just do not get anywhere, not even in Japan anymore.
Yeah,
it's even now it still feels like its own thing. You know, stuff like not Ghost in the Shell, Bubblegum Crisis or MD Geist.
Yeah,
you know, they all have their own distinct feel that just does. I don't know what it is, whether it was just that specific time and place, but
yeah,
man, I would just love more stuff like that.
Yeah,
like when Devilman Crybaby came out, I was like, oh cool, so we're going to be seeing a resurgence of weird violent anime like Genocyber, right?
Yeah.
Nah.
We're getting a new Wicked City out of this, right?
We're actually getting another volume of Genocyber, right, Tony Takazaki? You piece of... Anyway.
Now here's some more Ava.
Yay! Actually, that's not fair. I liked
I liked
3 of the 4 movies.
you were referring to the movie as I was just referring to Tony Takizaki's Ava Evangelion. I was like, yes, I would like another volume of that, please.
Oh no, absolutely. Give us more of his batshit insanity. That stuff is amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that does give you a better insight to what I have to look forward to and why it is making me so crazy enough that I'm wanting to push up my plans to just build a new desktop. Even though I've been thinking I would also like to make a retro PC, which would obviously be cheaper, but I'm fine with pushing that back if it means I could take advantage of sales near the end of the year just to get PC parts for a new one, especially now that GPU prices seem to be normalizing a whole lot faster than even I was led to believe based on, like, past metrics, like, months ago, you know? Like, that crypto crash is just not stopping, and I am glad. Whew. So is that all we need to talk about? I think it is. I don't know if your mic cut out or not. Oh, shit. Oh, well, I guess this is the end. Shit, how do I roll this out? Oh, he disconnected. Yeah, I guess it's something wrong with the voice call or something. Ah, fuck, whatever. Well, thanks again, everyone, for watching today. I've obviously laid out the rough plans of what I'm going to be streaming next. Hope you all look forward to that. You all take care and have a good day now.